Chapter 1840. Lu Yan didn't like to drink water. When she was thirsty, she would drink red wine, cocktails, beer, and all kinds of alcohol like water. She was very tough. "Carl, bring me some red wine." Ian was in a good mood and called out to the butler behind him. The old man named Carl carefully brought over a bottle of red wine. He opened it and poured 2 glasses. Lu Yan picked up the red wine and looked at Ian. Then, she tilted her head back and drank it. Ian smiled as he picked up the red wine and sipped it. Suddenly, he felt his whole body go numb. "Do you feel like you can't move?" Lu Yan smiled. "What did you do to me?" Ian was terrified. Just then, the old man named Carl beside Ian slowly tore off the human skin mask on his face. "Dad, you're good at acting." Lu Yan looked at the old man and smiled like a flower. "Teach me." Ian looked at the old man in disbelief. As soon as Ian said the word "professor," dozens of AK-47s were pointed at Lu Yan and the professor's heads. "You better not move. Ian is poisoned and only I can cure him." The professor's words were never a joke. He was a genius doctor and a master of poison. Everyone knew that. Ian caught Lu Yan this time because he was careless and didn't expect Professor Lu to come along. He even disguised himself as the old butler, Carl. The red wine was poisoned. Lu Yan was fine, but he was poisoned. "Don't look at me like that, Ian. I've been playing with my dad's poison since I was a child. I'm immune to all kinds of poisons." Lu Yan smiled. When she got on the plane and saw Carl, she knew something was wrong. It was a secret signal between her and her dad. That was why she said she was thirsty and wanted to drink. Ian was about to lose consciousness. He couldn't move his body and just sat there in a daze like a doll. "The antidote, or we'll all die here," Ian said with difficulty. "I can give you the antidote, but we have to leave first." Professor Lu's voice was hoarse. "Okay." Ian seemed to be very obedient. "Open the cabin. We're going to parachute down." "Dad, why aren't they parachuting?" "We're taking the plane," Lu Yan complained. "Don't tell me you want to go to Germany when you get off the plane and continue to be hunted down." The professor glanced at his daughter faintly. Lu Yan was speechless. Indeed, the older the ginger, the wiser the ginger, the wiser the ginger. "I have the antidote with me. Drink it, and you'll recover in 10 minutes. Why should I believe you? What if you run away and the antidote is fake?" Ian seemed to be worried. "You don't have a choice. Why don't we all die here? You get poisoned first, and then your men shoot us. What do you think?" Professor Lu looked at Ian and smiled. Ian's expression immediately turned ugly. He knew that Professor Lu wouldn't scare people, and he would definitely do what he said. "Ian, you have 8 minutes to consider. Even if I give you the antidote after 8 minutes, you will die from the poison. Everyone is so busy, you better make a decision quickly." Lu Yan was really arrogant. In the end, Ian only thought about it quietly for a few seconds. Then, he gritted his teeth and slowly said, "You guys, open the cabin and get the parachutes." "Boss, are we really going to let them go?" His subordinates didn't seem convinced. "Shut up, all of you. Carry out my orders." Ian couldn't laugh anymore. 2 minutes later, Lu Yan and her subordinates jumped first. Professor Lu was the last to jump. Before he jumped, he kept his promise and threw the antidote to Ian. After the 3 of them landed, Lu Yan took off the parachute and walked over to help her dad up. "Dad, why are you suddenly here? You're my savior," Lu Yan exclaimed. Chapter 1841. I've been paying attention to Ian's whereabouts and found out that he came to Brazil. I also knew that something was wrong when you were in Brazil, so I disguised myself as one of his people when he wasn't paying attention. Smart, but... Dad, why didn't you just poison him to death and give him another bag of poison? If people like Ian don't die, we'll never have a good life. Do you think we'll have a good life if we kill him? If he dies, we'll be hunted down even more. The German mafia and terrorist organizations won't let us go. Ian does have to die, but not now. Then, Professor Lu got up and walked forward. Boss, we're still in Rio de Janeiro, where are we going next? Lu Yan's subordinate asked her after taking out the GPS. Let's go home. I'm never coming back to this damned place. If it weren't for my dad, would be a prisoner by now. This time, it was indeed very dangerous. I've told you many times not to take orders recklessly. You have so much money that you won't be able to spend it all in your next life. Why are you still looking at money? Aren't I going to save more for my twin nieces? Professor Lu's eyes softened at the mention of twins. They're 3 years old this year, right? Yeah, they just celebrated their 3rd birthday. Chin Chu already went back. Don't worry about things in China, my sister is doing very well. She's just a famous entrepreneur now. Lu Yan knew Huamin's situation like the back of her hand. Do you have a picture? Let me see. Lu Yan turned on her watch, opened the picture, and enlarged it. Professor Lu looked at the picture of Huamin and her 2 daughters, and a strong sense of affection appeared in his eyes. Although Huamin wasn't by his side when she was young, Professor Lu had never forgotten about her. If your mom saw this, she would be very happy. She's living a peaceful and happy life now, which is exactly what your mom wants to see. Yeah. I actually envy my sister. I really hope she can live like this forever. Yen. I'm sorry I didn't give you a stable life all these years. Professor Lu's white sideburns indicated that he was getting older. Looking at his younger daughter, he actually felt sorry for her. Although they were father and daughter, they only saw each other a few times a year. Every time they met, they would bid each other farewell in a hurry. Why are you talking about this? I'm already used to it. Actually, it's pretty good. At least I've learned a lot of survival skills. I've seen a lot of insomnia, and I've killed a lot of enemies. Compared to my sister's calmness, my life has been more exciting. After I succeed in my experiment, I'll find a chance to kill Ian. Then, you can marry Xiao Fei and stop running around. Your mercenary group will be disbanded and you'll quit this business. After all, you're a girl. Fighting and killing isn't your final destination. Oh, that's a long time ago. I'm only in my early 20s. Why would I get married? Lu Yan always tried to avoid marrying Xiao Fei. Suddenly, Professor Lu's phone rang. He looked at his watch. Xiao Fei's image was reflected. Uncle Lu, how are you? Very good, Yen has been successfully rescued. Don't worry. That's good. Do you want to talk to her? Professor Lu asked. No need. I still have something to do. That's all. She didn't expect Xiao Fei to hang up just like that. How heartless. Damn it. That psycho. He didn't even say a word to me. Lu Yan bit her lips. I think you made him angry. Professor Lu knew his daughter's personality well. Lu Yan didn't say anything. She looked down and tried to recall what made Psycho Qiao so angry. He didn't even want to talk to her. Chapter 1842. Before she came to Brazil, Xiao Fei told her not to run around. It wasn't peaceful recently, so he told her to stay at the Qiao family's house in Moscow. He even said he would cook special Russian food for her, but Lu Yan didn't care about that at all. When Xiao Fei went back to the family headquarters to deal with business, she ran away. Then, she took a job and flew to Brazil. Xiao Fei didn't want to talk to her. Angry. I'm the one who's angry. I saved his life. If I didn't find my brother-in-law to operate on him a few years ago, he wouldn't be alive now, Lu Yan said matter-of-factly. Why don't you think about it? Who did he get shot a few years ago? Her dad's words made Lu Yan speechless. Don't say I don't have time to save you next time. I'm telling you, don't take jobs anymore. Go back to the island or stay at the Chow family's house in Moscow. It's safe there. Dad, I want to go back to China. I want to see my sister and the twins. You're acting up again, aren't you? Professor Lu looked at his daughter helplessly. I really want to see my sister and her pair of beautiful nieces. You'll have a chance, but not now. Lu Yan, I'm telling you, if you bring danger to yourself and your sister because of your stubbornness, I'll never forgive you. Then, Professor Lu turned around and left. Lu Yan pouted and wanted to express her dissatisfaction. Boss, let's go back. Go away. Don't talk to me. Lu Yan was in a bad mood. Why was it so hard to see her sister? Why hadn't she had a chance in all these years? It was a miracle that she could hold it in for so long with her fiery personality. At South Hill Manor after piano practice, the twins sat in the living room and played. Pudding liked to read all kinds of news on the internet, so she quietly browsed through the news on her tablet. Little Bean liked to eat. She was eating an orange as she watched TV. When Chin Chu came downstairs, he saw the sisters in such harmony. Unfortunately, it wasn't Pleasant Goat and Big Bad Wolf or Boonie Bears on TV. Instead, it was a variety show that had been very popular in the country recently. Run, brother, Little Bean, you like this show? Yeah. I like Big Brother Xiaolu. Little Bean was infatuated. Brother Xiaolu. Chin Chu was confused. Pudding glanced at Little Bean and replied calmly, Daddy, ignore her. She's talking about celebrities. Well, it seems that Daddy is out. Chin Chu smiled helplessly and sat in the empty seat between the two sisters. Where's Mommy? She's still busy, she still has to deal with some company matters. Daddy, are you really going to live off her? Little Bean looked at Chin Chu sympathetically. What? Are you going to look down on Daddy as well? Mommy works to support the family while Daddy cooks and takes care of you at home. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel weird. Little Bean looked at her daddy in confusion. Pudding, you don't want Daddy to be home with you guys every day. No, I'm fine. The problem is, Daddy, won't you be bored staying with us like this? Pudding asked calmly. No, Chin Chu answered without hesitation. If you don't think it's boring, then it's fine. I don't care. Pudding, what news are you watching? Nothing. I'm just looking at the stock market. I heard that two families in the real estate industry are getting married. I think their stocks will definitely rise. I'm going to buy some and sell it when it reaches the upper limit. You invest in stocks? Chin Chu looked at Pudding in disbelief. Sometimes. I use Mommy's account. Mommy will give me 100,000 yuan. She won't give me a lot. I'm just doing it for fun. Are you making money or losing money? Chin Chu was immediately interested. Chapter 1843. Little Bean peeled off a piece of orange and stuffed it into Chin Chu's mouth. Daddy, you don't know my sister at all. Why would she lose money? With her IQ, she won't be satisfied until she wins 10 times over. So our Pudding is an expert in the stock market? Chu chuckled. Pudding calmly logged into her account and showed Chu the current balance in the stock market. It wasn't the 100,000 yuan Huamin gave her. It was 2.8 million yuan. It wasn't as simple as a tenfold increase. Good job, girl. Chu patted Pudding's head lovingly. Daddy, I'm here too. Pudding immediately leaned her head on Chu's shoulder and whined. Little Bean is great too. Suddenly, Chu thought of something and asked softly, Pudding, Little Bean, do you want to see your grandparents? We've seen them before, Pudding answered calmly. You've seen them before? When? Chu was slightly surprised. When we were little, Mommy would show us pictures every day. Daddy was the one she saw the most, then Grandpa and Grandma. Oh, there was also a short-haired auntie. Right, we should call her Auntie, right? Pudding thought hard. Yes, Auntie. That's your Auntie Chin Ning. Yeah, so we're all familiar with each other. Daddy, Auntie is so pretty. The Chin family's genes are so strong. Other than Mommy, everyone else is a beauty queen, Little Bean said with a smile. Your mommy is beautiful too. Chu smiled. Yeah, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. In Daddy's eyes, Mommy is the most beautiful woman in the world. Pudding praised. Daddy, does Auntie Chin have a boyfriend? Pudding suddenly asked. Not yet, I haven't heard her mention one. Chu thought carefully and realized that he hadn't heard Ning Ning talk about a boyfriend. Oh, I see. Pudding nodded thoughtfully. What? Do you have any plans? Chu looked at Pudding and thought she wouldn't ask this for no reason. Unexpectedly, Pudding smiled mysteriously and replied perfunctorily, nothing. Chu saw this but didn't ask any more questions. Instead, he continued, when your mommy isn't so busy, I'll take you two to the States. We'll go visit your grandparents and auntie, okay? Of course. But I heard it's a long flight to the States. I don't know if I can handle it, Little Bean complained. She looked especially adorable. Pudding, on the other hand, was as calm as ever. I'll leave it to you, Daddy. She played with the two little guys in the living room for a while until they were sleepy and went back to sleep. Chu went upstairs. When Chu entered the bedroom, Huamin had already taken a shower and was lying down. He was still reading the company's relevant information in his hand. Wifey, are they asleep? Emichim, Mom took them back to visit. They look sleepy. The two little devils. They're so quiet every day. I can't keep them company. It's okay. Just work. I'll keep them company. Chu walked over and sat on the edge of the bed. Huamin leaned over and rested her head on his shoulder. Honey, I want to talk to you about something. Okay. You didn't ask me anything, you just said okay. Huamin looked up and smiled. Whatever you say, wifey. Honey, if you were an emperor in ancient times, you'd be a fatuous ruler. It's okay. I'm willing to be a fatuous ruler for you. I'm not afraid of being despised by the world. Tisk tsk. I'm surprised that Mr. Chin knows how to sweet talk. You don't like it? Chu looked down at Huamin gently. I like it. I like it a lot. Huamin smiled shyly and nestled in Chu's arms. So. Honey, can you tell me what it is now? Chapter 1844. I'm so forgetful. I almost forgot. Auntie Sue just called and said that Lord Sue and Uncle Sue missed the twins. Tomorrow is Saturday, so they want us to bring the kids over for dinner. Sure. I also prepared a gift for the Sue family. I'm going to bring it over. Gift? What did you prepare? Lord Su and the others aren't snobbish people. You don't have to give them something expensive. Huamin was a little worried. Don't worry. I know the Su family doesn't lack money. They won't give you anything expensive. It's just a small gift. I'll take care of it. Huamin nodded. When the company isn't so busy, I plan to take you guys back to the States. Mom and Dad miss the kids very much. You should have gone a long time ago. I know you're worried that it'll be inconvenient for Mom and Dad to come back. You're afraid that Huasichen will do something to them, so going to the States is the best way. Emichem, Qin Chu gently stroked Huamin's long hair. He was very happy that Huamin understood what he meant. No problem. It's time for Mom and Dad to see the kids. How's Dad? Not so good. I've been working hard ever since the surgery. I can only rely on some medicine. Huamin frowned slightly. Dad has already gotten over it. Don't be too sad. Life and death are fated, I know. I hope Dad can stay with us for a few more years and watch the twins grow up, Huamin said slowly. Ever since Qin Chu came back, Huamin's sleep became very good. He had never slept so deeply in years. Now, he slept soundly in Su Yu's arms every day. His mental state was also very good. Huamin greedily hoped that he and Qin Chu could stay like this forever and never be separated again. 11 years was already a huge test for them. Not many people in the world could be together after being separated for so long. It was easy to imagine how difficult it was for their relationship to come about. Looking at Huamin sleeping soundly, Qin Chu leaned over and gently kissed him. Good night, my girl. In his eyes, Huamin would always be the little girl from more than 10 years ago. That arrogant genius girl. Every time he saw Huamin and the twins, Qin Chu felt that all the pain he had suffered before was worth it. Late at night, he quietly got up, picked up his phone, and stood in the corridor to make a call. The following dialogue was in English. What's the situation over there? Everything's calm. Nothing's happened. Have you investigated it thoroughly? Everything is clear. I think we can make a move at any time. After a while, I will bring my wife and son back to America. Don't expose your identity. Don't let my wife find out. She's very smart. I'll contact you when I get back. Don't call me for the time being. That's all. After Qin Chu finished speaking, he hung up the phone. When he was on the phone, he deliberately lowered his voice as if he didn't want anyone to hear. After hanging up the phone, Qin Chu turned around and walked back to his room. He didn't seem to notice that there was someone downstairs at this time of night. At this moment, Zhixin, who was drinking water in the pantry upstairs, had a strange expression on his face. The glass of water in his hand trembled slightly. Brother-in-law, he's indeed a little strange this time. Why did he call behind my back? He also said that he didn't want my sister to know. Could it be that he has a mistress in America? Zhixin was shocked when he thought of this. Chapter 1845. The next morning, it was the weekend, so Zhixin and Huamin didn't have to go to work at GK. The family sat around the breakfast table and enjoyed a sumptuous breakfast. Qin Chu's Western food was very authentic, and the twins loved it, so he always cooked for them. He made fried eggs, sausages, cheese rolls, and honey butter croissants, all of which tasted very authentic. The twins slowly drank their milk. Mian, it's the weekend, are you going out? Yang Meirong asked. I don't have anything to do this morning, but we'll visit the Su family in the afternoon. Mrs. Su invited us to dinner. She said that Lord Su misses the twins. That's good. The Su family has taken care of us for so long, and they have feelings for the twins. We should visit them more often. We don't want people to say that we're ungrateful. Mom, I know, don't worry. Jishin ate slowly and didn't say anything, but he glanced at Chin-Chu a few times. Jishin, why do you keep looking at your brother-in-law? Hua-min asked. Chin-Chu was feeding his daughter's ham, so he didn't notice Jishin's gaze. Upon hearing Hua-min's words, he raised his head and looked at Jishin, confused. Ahem, I wanted to ask. My brother-in-law is so handsome. In the years that you were separated from my sister, in the States, in Seattle, right? Did you have any suitors? Jishin laughed, but his voice was a little unnatural, perhaps because he felt guilty. Oh, my little brother wanted to ask, Mr. Chin, did you attract girls? Hua-min tilted his head and looked at Chin-Chu with a faint smile. No. Chin-Chu's answer was very short, which suited his indifferent and arrogant temperament. I trust Daddy. He's not that kind of person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come back to the States to marry Mommy after studying abroad for 7 years. Uncle, your question is very pointless. Is it because you've been too stressed at work lately? Here, have another fried egg. It'll give you more nutrients. Little Bean picked up the fried egg with a fork and put it on Jishin's plate. Jishin, Uncle, did you find something? You're not a suspicious person. It's weird that you're suddenly asking about Daddy. Pudding was very calm as she analyzed her uncle's strange behavior. Jishin was so scared that he quickly waved his hands. No, I really didn't. I was just asking. I was just curious, Chin-Chu looked serious. He glanced at Jishin and then at Hua-min. Other than Mian. I'm not interested in any woman. His domineering words cleared up all doubts and expressed his determination to Hua-min. Wow. Daddy and Mommy are showing off their love so early in the morning. How cruel. Little Bean licked the cream off the corner of her mouth and smirked. Pudding calmly took a sip of milk and chimed in, you'll see this kind of scene often in the future. Don't make a fuss. You have to get used to it. Hua-min, Jishin, why are you talking about this? Your brother-in-law isn't that kind of person. If people don't know any better, they might think that we're suspicious of him. If you have the energy to do your job, you should help your sister, or find yourself a partner. Don't think about all this nonsense, Yang Meirong scolded. I know, Mom, Jishin was scolded in the face. He pursed his lips and didn't dare to say anything else. However, he made a mental note to himself. After all, it wasn't that he didn't trust his brother-in-law, it was just that he thought it was a little strange. In the afternoon, Chin-Chu drove the black Bentley Continental. He took the twins and Hua-min to the Su family mansion. As soon as the twins entered the Su family mansion, they immediately ran to Lord Su, who was sitting on the sofa. Great-grandpa, we missed you so much. Pudding, who was never good at acting cute, was no longer cold. Chapter 1846. Great-grandpa. Did you miss me? Little Bean began to act cute, determined to surpass her sister. Of course, Great-grandpa misses you, you two little fellas. When Lord Su saw the twins, his heart almost melted. Back then, after Hua-min gave birth, she stayed with the Su family for a month. At that time, the two babies were still young and didn't know anything. Lord Su and Mr. Su fought to hold them. They were very affectionate. Although they weren't related by blood, their relationship was very deep. In the next few years, Hua-min would occasionally visit the Su family and bring the children home for dinner. When the two babies were tired of playing, they would stay with the Su family. With Lady Su watching over them, they were no different from her own children. Perhaps it was because Lord Su was old, but in front of the two little guys, he didn't have the dignity of a military commander at all. All that was left was amiable. Pudding once said that Su Yu's great-grandfather was a stubborn but cute old man. Little Bean, on the other hand, flattered him and said that Su Yu's great-grandfather was the best great-grandfather in the world. Huamin and Qin Chu followed behind them. "Hello, Master Lord Su." "Hello, Master Lord Su." "Come, sit down, you two," Master Lord Su stood up and said politely. At this moment, Mrs. Su and Mr. Su walked down from upstairs. "You came at the right time. You guys talk first. I'll go to the kitchen to prepare the dishes." After speaking, Lady Su went straight into the kitchen. Mr. Su walked over and sat down. The twins pounced on him again and began to act cute. Mr. Su, who had always been serious and old-fashioned, had a happy smile on his face. "Mian, have you been busy with work recently?" Lord Su asked. "It's fine, not very busy." "Qin Chu. You have to help your wife. Don't let her work too hard." Lord Su is right. "I just came back and am not familiar with anything. I'll get used to it slowly." "You'll feel bad for your wife." Huamin shyly retorted. Qin Chu smiled but didn't say anything. "By the way, Lord Su, this is for you. Please accept it." After saying that, Qin Chu took out a painting tube from behind him and handed it over. "What are you doing? Between us, we don't need these things." Master Lord Su seemed to dislike gifts. Huamin immediately explained, Lord Su, please take a look first. This isn't expensive, but it's a gift from Qin Chu." Master Lord Su opened the painting tube doubtfully. He took out the flower scroll and opened it. Then, he was slightly stunned. "This is... It's not made by a famous master, nor is it an antique. I just heard that Master Lord Su really likes the authentic works of Su Zilin, a painter from the Republic of China. He studied abroad in America. Back then, he had a hard time, so he sold a few of his works in America. I was lucky enough to buy one of them. So, I gave it to Master Lord Su. It's really not expensive." When Mr. Su heard this, he immediately leaned forward to take a look. He was also a little shocked. Rumor has it that Master Su Zilin is a man of integrity. He rarely sells his paintings. If he hits it off, he'll give it to others. It's basically impossible to buy it in China. I remember that the curator of the Pingqing Museum used to be close friends with him. There's one of his paintings in the museum. The rest are hard to come by. Master Su was troubled by love and became a monk in his middle age. That's why his paintings are no longer circulating. I heard that there are a few paintings overseas, but they can't be bought with money. It's really rare that you were able to buy it. After saying this, Mr. Su raised his head and looked at Qin Chu in disbelief. "How did you get such a difficult thing to get your hands on? That's amazing." Chapter 1847. It's a coincidence. A friend of mine in the States knows the seller. They're foreigners and don't understand the profoundness of Chinese paintings, so there's no point in keeping it. He wants to sell it and I want to buy it. I've already had it appraised and it's authentic. I hope Master Lord Su will like it, Qin Chu said sincerely. Lord Su held the scroll and couldn't bear to put it down. I heard that he painted the portrait of a gentleman a long time ago. I didn't think that after so many years, I'd be lucky enough to see it. I can die without regrets. I heard that he painted the portrait of a gentleman when he was traveling with his friends in Maishan. It's one of his most satisfying paintings. It's indeed the style of a great master. The style is fresh and the strokes are vigorous and powerful. Most importantly, it's rare to see the elegance and nobility of plum, orchid, chrysanthemum, bamboo. It's not easy to paint the essence of a painting. I'm glad you like it, Master Lord Su. Huamin smiled. I like it. Of course I like it. You're such a thoughtful child. Lord Su looked at Chin Chu approvingly. It's nothing. I'm glad you like it. Then, Chin Chu picked up the square brocade box that he had prepared and pushed it in front of Mr. Su. I get a gift too? Mr. Su asked with a rare kind expression. Uncle Su. Take a look first. Hua Min smiled mysteriously. Mr. Su slowly opened the brocade box and looked at the ink-black inkstone inside. It was so beautiful that it could topple a city. This. You too. It seems like you've done your research on my preferences. Did Suyu tell you this? Mr. Su picked up the inkstone and couldn't bear to put it down. No, Suyu wouldn't tell me. I guessed it myself. I've been to your study and saw that you have the most inkstones in your collection. Hua Min pursed his lips and smiled. As the saying goes, one must cater to a person's preferences when giving a gift. It wasn't the price, but the intention. When Mr. Su picked up the back of the inkstone, he was a little surprised. There are words. It looks like. Preface to the Orchid Pavilion, Mr. Su exclaimed. Uncle Su, you have good eyesight. Although this inkstone isn't made of the best material, the craftsmanship is very complicated. It was made by a modern master, Feng Hongqing. It's 196 centimeters long, 118 centimeters wide, and 16 centimeters thick. There are as many as 168 stone eyes on the inkstone. It's one of a kind in the world. The pattern is carved in the style of Ming Dynasty's blue and white, and the engraving on the back is indeed Wang Shiji's preface to the Orchid Pavilion. Therefore, this inkstone is named Elegant Charm of the Orchid Pavilion, Chin Chu explained patiently. Elegant Orchid Courtyard. Not bad. Good name, I like it. Similarly, this isn't expensive, because it's a modern piece. So, Uncle Su, you don't have to feel burdened. The reason why I bought it is because I think the craftsmanship is pretty good. It's passable, and it's just a small token of my appreciation. I hope Uncle Su doesn't mind. Chin Chu spoke slowly. Mr. Su raised his head with admiration in his eyes. Chin Chu. You're about the same age as are you, but you're so knowledgeable about these things. It's clear that you've seen a lot. Uncle Su, you flatter me. Back then, my father was also very interested in these things. I've been influenced by him since I was young. I just know a little bit, Chin Chu said modestly. At this moment, Little Bean's eyes rolled around and she asked in a childish voice, Daddy, you bought gifts for great-grandpa and Lord Su. What about Grandma Su? Grandma Su won't have any, right? That would be very awkward. Daddy, you don't favor boys over girls, do you? Little Bean's words made everyone laugh. Just then, Mrs. Su walked out of the kitchen and asked, Little Bean, what gift did you get for Grandma Su? Come, let me see. Auntie Su, your gift is here. Hua Min stood up with a smile and held up a beautifully wrapped big box in his hands. Chapter 1848. Oh. Little Bean was right, there's a gift for me. Lady Su smiled as she took the box. Then, she walked over and sat down beside Hua Min. She slowly opened the box in front of everyone. Inside was a light blue qipao. It was sewn with golden thread and looked luxurious. The most important thing was that the material was light and delicate. It was obviously a top-grade piece. Actually, Chin Chu gave me this material a few days ago. I asked someone to sew it according to your figure. There are 2 batches of material and I made one for my mother. My mother likes simple and elegant things, so I gave her a dark green one. Auntie Su has always had an extraordinary aura and is as elegant as an orchid. That's why I thought it would be perfect for you. You only know how to flatter me. But this qipao is so beautiful. The most important thing is that the material doesn't look like ordinary material. Lady Su gently touched the material of the qipao. She had worn countless qipaos over the years. Whenever it was a traditional festival, she would wear a traditional Chinese qipao. Her aura was indescribable. Therefore, she was very knowledgeable about material. She looked at it and was surprised to find that she didn't have any clothes made of this material. Qin Chu said faintly, "Auntie, this material. It's rainbow cloud brocade from Wannan. Have you heard of it? Rainbow cloud brocade. Gosh. Isn't that top-grade material made by the Jiang family's workshop in the Ming Dynasty? Rumor has it that it's always been a tribute. Then, during the Republic of China, the workshop declined and the brocade gradually disappeared from the market. I've heard people talk about it, but I've never seen it. My mother-in-law said that her mother's family used to have a rainbow cloud brocade dress. Then, during the chaos, the house was robbed and the dress disappeared. It's not easy to find it now. Qin Chu knows a lot about this. He bought 2 batches of material from an old friend and made 2 dresses, one for you and one for my mother. Come on, Auntie Sue, try it on and let us see. It'll look beautiful. Huamin chuckled. Only 2. Doesn't that mean you don't have any? Lady Sue looked at Huamin. I'm not in a hurry. My mother will give me hers in the future. You should keep yours and give it to Su Yu's wife in the future. Huamin said half-jokingly. Pudding held Lady Sue's hand and said, Grandma Su, I'll go upstairs with you to change. I can help you hold the hem of your dress in case you slip. Ha, good girl. I didn't dote on you for nothing. Lady Su was so happy that she kept touching Pudding's face. She put down the walnut in her hand and said, Qin Zhao Zhao, don't be so shameless. That's my specialty. What do you mean by your patent? Flattery. Pudding asked. Little Bean, the quarrel between the sisters made everyone laugh. Then, Lady Su took the twins upstairs to change into their cheongsams. Qin Chu and Huamin stayed downstairs with the 2 elders. Mr. Su really liked the elegant orchid ink slab and couldn't bear to put it down. Qin Chu said, Uncle, this ink slab is a bit too big. The craftsman didn't grind it because it was made from a whole piece of stone, so it's not very nice to look at. You can keep it as a piece of art. If you really grind it, it's a bit too big. It's not convenient to hold. Ha! Who said so? I like to use big ones. It's comfortable, ah. Mr. Su laughed loudly. Mian, the twins aren't young anymore. You can't always hire a tutor. Is it time for them to go to school? Is there a suitable kindergarten for them? Grandpa Su glanced at Huamin and suddenly thought of this topic. Chapter 1849. I'm thinking about it too, Mr. Lord Su. The military kindergarten is good. It's heavily guarded and managed. Most importantly, if they become soldiers in the future, they can directly apply for military school. The score requirements aren't that high. Dad, they're 2 delicate girls, why would they go to military school? Why are you so silly? Mian wouldn't be willing to let them go. Even if Mian and her husband were willing, we wouldn't be willing to let them go. You know how hard it is in the military. Mr. Su seemed reluctant. Nonsense. Although the military is hard, it's also training. Plus, protecting the country is the highest honor. The old man said this with a righteous tone. Huamin and Qin Chu looked at each other and smiled. Lord Su is right. My daughters aren't that delicate. Let's go home and talk about it. If we can't find a suitable kindergarten, we can ask Lord Su to help us enroll them in a district kindergarten. At least, their safety is guaranteed. See. Mian is the most sensible one. The old man seemed to be satisfied with Hua Min's answer. As they chatted, Lady Su walked down the stairs. Look, Grandma Su is so beautiful. Little Bean yelled at the top of her lungs. Everyone immediately turned to look at the stairs. Lady Su had a good foundation. She was beautiful and had fair skin. Even though she was old, she still looked charming. Hua Min always thought that although Lady Su wasn't from a famous family, she had the aura of a rich lady. That kind of temperament was emitted from the bones, and was not something that was deliberately imitated by makeup. This color really suits Mrs. Su. Hua Min smiled. It depends on the aura. It was rare for Mr. Qin, who was always cold, to praise someone. Mr. Su and Lord Su both nodded. Especially Mr. Su, who pretended to be calm. Emichim, the material is really good. It's top grade. Ha! Lord Su, it's only the material, okay? Where are you? Little Bean ran over and acted coquettishly. You little devil. You're getting more and more naughty, Lord Su, compliment Grandma Su. I rarely hear you compliment people. Grandma Su is so beautiful today, don't be stingy with your compliments. Little Bean continued to pull on Mr. Su's hand, acting cute. Ahem. It is indeed beautiful. Finally, under Little Bean's pressure, Mr. Su, who had always been reserved and serious, finally said, it's indeed beautiful. However, Lady Su was already very satisfied. Her cheeks were slightly flushed. Mian, Chu, thank you. Thank you so much. Lady Su thanked them with a smile. Auntie, you don't have to be so polite with us. I've always treated you guys as my family. This isn't a gift, it's a form of filial piety. Hua Min was afraid that the Su family would feel burdened, so he quickly explained. I understand what you mean. Let's stop chatting. The food is almost ready. Let's go. Lady Su gestured for everyone to head to the dining room. Pudding raised her head and looked out the door. Then, she asked unhappily, where's handsome Su? I called him. He's on his way home after work. I think he'll be here soon, Lady Su replied. As soon as they sat down in the dining room, they heard the loud sound of an engine. Pudding and Little Bean ran out like the wind. Wow. It's really a Lamborghini. Handsome Su is back. Pudding and Little Bean ran over to greet him as if they were fighting for his attention. The door opened. However, the person they saw wasn't Su Yu. Instead, it was, hi. Pudding, Little Bean. Hello. A woman wearing a light pink cashmere coat with long hair and exquisite makeup greeted them. Pudding and Little Bean subconsciously took 2 steps back, showing their dislike and hostility towards her. Hua Min turned his head and saw that it was Jian Tong. She was still wondering why Jian Tong was here when Su Yu walked in behind Jian Tong. Hi. You two little ones. Did you miss me? Su Yu walked in with a smile and changed his shoes. Handsome Su. Why did you bring an outsider back? Don't you know this is an internal family gathering? Little Bean was unhappy and immediately labeled Jian Tong as an outsider. Chapter 1850. Before Su Yu could say anything, Jian Tong smiled and looked at Little Bean tenderly. Baby, I'm not an outsider. I'm your Uncle Su's girlfriend now. Jian Tong's words made everyone's expression change. Hua Min was slightly surprised. He didn't expect Jian Tong to say that. But since she dared to say that, Su Yu must have acquiesced. Old Master Su and Mr. Su didn't like women in the entertainment industry, so they didn't like Jian Tong at all. Lady Su also looked at her son in confusion. She didn't seem to be prepared for this at all. Qin Chu, on the other hand, looked calm, because he didn't care who Su Yu was with. Pudding's reaction was bigger. She glanced at Jian Tong and then at Su Yu. Handsome Su. Is what she said true? Su Yu seemed a little embarrassed. He raised his hand and rubbed the tip of his nose. Ahem, It's true. Auntie Jian Tong will be Uncle Su's girlfriend from now on. You guys have to get along well with her. Oh my God. What's going on? Pudding opened her mouth wide, obviously in disbelief. Are you sure this isn't a joke? Pudding still looked at Su Yu calmly, as if asking for confirmation again. It's not a joke, Pudding. Okay then. I can only say, you have bad taste. Pudding turned around and left. She ignored Su Yu. Pudding also looked at Su Yu with disappointment. I didn't expect, a woman who has seen an eagle can fall in love with a crow, and a man who has seen a rose can fall in love with a wildflower. Su Yu, Jian Tong, Pudding's golden sentence left everyone at a loss. Huamin felt embarrassed. After all, his daughter was very rude. Pudding, little bean, don't be rude. She's Uncle Su's girlfriend. You should call her Auntie Jian Tong, Huamin scolded. It's not easy to be our auntie, even if you're handsome Su's girlfriend. Little Bean said stubbornly. Pudding sat down at the table and changed the topic. Let's eat. I'm starving. After that, Pudding lowered her head and ate slowly, but it was obvious that she wasn't in a good mood. Grandpa, Dad. Mom, this is Jian Tong. Su Yu formally introduced her. Hello, Lord Su. Hello, Auntie Su. Hello, Uncle Su. Jian Tong smiled sweetly, as if she wanted to please everyone. Oh, okay. Mr. Su's expression was indifferent. Lord Su didn't say a word, but it was obvious that he didn't feel good about it. Aw. You guys came back just in time. Let's eat. Lady Su understood the big picture and didn't refute her son. Su Yu walked over with Jian Tong and found a seat. Jian Tong went to Australia to shoot a movie a few days ago and bought some deep-sea fish oil there. She said it's good for your health. I asked Auntie Yu to put it away, Su Yu said. Lady Su glanced at Jian Tong and smiled a little distantly. Miss Jian, you're too kind. We don't need anything. You don't have to buy things for us in the future. It's just a small token of my appreciation. Auntie, don't be so polite with me. Jian Tong seemed to want to please the Su family. Mom, your cheongsam looks good. It's new. Su Yu immediately changed the topic to ease the tension. Mian and Chu gave it to me. It's made of the long-lost rainbow cloud brocade. Of course, it looks good. TSK. Huamin, you're so generous. You spent so much money. Are you going to eat dirt next month? After all, you only earn 10,000 yuan as the president. Su Yu looked at Huamin with a smile. Huamin worked at the company and only earned 10,000 yuan a month. But the problem was that the company belonged to his family. He could use as much as he wanted. Su Yu used to joke about the 10,000 yuan to tease Huamin. Why would I care about that when I'm buying a gift for Auntie? It's worth it even if I eat dirt. Huamin smiled faintly. TSK. I finally realized that Little Bean inherited all her skills from her mom. Su Yu smirked. What does it have to do with me? I'm the one being implicated. Little Bean rolled her eyes at Su Yu. Pudding couldn't take it anymore. She glanced at Su Yu and said, Handsome Sue, get to the point. Did you bring her here today to announce your new relationship? You purposely chose today when everyone is here, didn't you? Pudding's words made the atmosphere tense up again. Chapter 1851. Suyu looked embarrassed. Pudding. Kids don't understand adult matters. Handsome Sue, don't try to fool us with these childish words. After all, Little Bean and I aren't kids anymore. If you announce your relationship on a day like this, are you declaring war against my daddy or telling my mommy that you've already switched sides with someone else? Suyu was speechless. Pudding, don't talk nonsense. Pudding's words made Huamin so embarrassed that he almost died of cancer. I'm not talking nonsense. The whole world knows that Handsome Sue likes mommy. Could it be that Handsome Sue was triggered by daddy's return? Is that why you're so desperate? If that's the case, you're really low, Pudding analyzed calmly. I completely agree with my sister. Handsome Sue, what you did this time was really wrong, Little Bean began to criticize. Suyu was speechless. Pudding, Little Bean. Don't talk to Uncle Sue like that. Chin Chu felt that although his daughter was still young, Suyu would definitely lose face if she spoke so openly, so he scolded her for the first time. Jian Tong, on the other hand, was very calm and didn't feel uncomfortable. It was as if she had expected this before she came. There's still some soup in the pot. I'll go get it for Lord Su. Huamin took the opportunity to get up and leave the table. He walked towards the kitchen, and Jian Tong saw this and followed him. Let me help you, Huamin. Then, Jian Tong followed Huamin into the kitchen. Lord Su's face immediately darkened. He looked at Suyu and said, what are you doing? Grandpa, I'm not doing anything. I'm an adult, what's wrong with having a girlfriend? Aren't you happy about it? It's not about whether we're happy or not. I've told your father many times that the Su family doesn't look for women from the entertainment industry. If you find someone from a good family, we'll definitely support you. Lord Su looked unhappy. Suyu, how old are you? Why are you still so impulsive? Suyu's father was furious. Even Lady Su, who had always been gentle and virtuous, could not help but scold her son. Son, what are you trying to do? Why did you suddenly bring someone back? You didn't even tell me beforehand. And why is it Jian Tong? You and her. Mom. I've talked to Jian Tong before. She's been doing her job at the company all these years, so I know what she's like. Plus, she's very good to me and she's very devoted to me. Why can't I choose her? It's better to choose someone I know than someone I don't know. I think we're just going back to how we used to be. There's nothing wrong with it. Suyu seemed to be determined to acquiesce to this relationship. He didn't hesitate to fall out with his grandfather and parents. It was inconvenient for Chin Chu to intervene in the Su family's affairs, so he could only choose to watch with folded arms. The twins, on the other hand, were not calm and seemed to be very angry. Handsome Su, even if you want to find a girlfriend, you can't find someone like her. She's a typical pretentious bitch. We don't like Jian Tong. We just don't like her, we don't like her at all. Humph. Little Bean was throwing a tantrum. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and pretended to hit someone. Little Bean. Lord Su is already so old. Do you really want your Uncle Su to be single forever? Suyu smiled as he touched Little Bean's chin. Pudding glanced at Suyu coldly. No one is stopping you from finding a girlfriend. I thought you should at least find someone suitable for you. A few days ago, I was asking Dad about Auntie Chin Ning. I knew she was single, so I wanted to wait for her to come back so I could set you up with her. But you're such a disappointment. You just have to find a female celebrity. Plus, I know you don't like that woman at all, but you still pretend to like her. You're just putting on an act for everyone to see. There's only one reason why you're doing this. Pudding paused for a moment. Sis. What's Handsome Sue's purpose? Little Bean was confused. Chapter 1852. My goal is to make Daddy and Mommy happy, so that Mommy won't have to worry about Handsome Sue anymore. But, what a stupid thing to do. My mommy is Hwamin, with her IQ, there's no way she can't guess. So, what you're doing is meaningless. Handsome Sue, when you're being childish, you're really like a child. Even your IQ is lower than Little Bean's. Hey, it's none of my business. I'm not taking the blame for this, Little Bean immediately clarified. Suyu's face turned pale upon hearing Little Bean's words. Okay. Little Bean, you're pushing your Uncle Sue to his death. You're so young, how can you have so many ideas? Suyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If these words were said by someone else, he would be very angry and offended. But when it came from Little Bean, the meaning was different. Little Bean and Little Bean were both children that he loved dearly. They were almost like his own daughters. He never got mad at them, and he didn't even have the heart to criticize them. When Hwamin was teaching them a lesson, he still defended them, putting, Uncle Sue is an adult. What he chooses is his own business. You have no right to judge him. Chin Chu knew that Suyu did this to make Hwamin feel at ease. But after his daughter said it out loud, Suyu really wanted to die. It was so awkward. Pudding, come to Grandma Sue. Let's ignore your Uncle Sue. Lady Sue opened her arms. Pudding obediently walked over and sat on Lady Sue's lap. Little Bean immediately moved to Mr. Lord Sue's side. Lord Sue, please hug me. I'm not heavy, I'm even lighter than my sister. Haha, okay, I'll hug you. Suyu's father was so amused by Little Bean that he couldn't care less about Suyu's ridiculous behavior. No one said anything else and just ate in silence. Hwamin didn't go to the kitchen to get soup, he just wanted to avoid the awkward atmosphere. However, he didn't expect Jian Tong to follow him in. Hwamin didn't say anything. He just held the bowl of soup silently. Hwamin. Jian Tong called out to him. To be honest, Hwamin didn't like Jian Tong at all, even though she wasn't as extreme as Imo Shui and Song Yisher. But Jian Tong was definitely not that kind of person. Hwamin had dealt with her a few times, and he didn't like her character very much. Miss Yiling, what's the matter? Hwamin's smile was very distant. Lord Su and I are together again. The person I want to thank the most is actually you. Hee, why are you thanking me? I didn't ask Suyu to do that. Hwamin smiled faintly. Jian Tong looked at Hwamin's handsome face with extreme arrogance. Thank you for being so heartless. You taught him to give up. I'm heartless. Hwamin was dumbfounded. Did she abandon Suyu? Or did she cheat on him? Why would she use the word heartless to describe her? If she had feelings for Suyu, then she was the most heartless to Mr. Chin. No matter what, you made us who we are. I used to think that I had no chance of winning, but I didn't think that his 4 years of being with you wouldn't even be enough for you to turn around. So, Lord Su is tired. He's a normal man. If he doesn't get a response, he won't follow you around and wag his tail like a dog. You also don't have the right to torture him, so please stay away from Suyu from now on. He's no longer under your skirt. Jian Tong didn't hold back as she looked at Hwamin with hostility. Chapter 1853. Miss Jian, let me correct you on one point. I've never abused Suyu, and I don't think he's my dog. Please watch your words. To me, Huamin, Suyu is the most important friend in my life. No matter what difficulties he encounters in the future, I, Huamin, will do anything for him. I don't care what happened between the two of you, but please don't try to use moral coercion on me. I don't care what happened between the two of you, but please don't use the word guest under my skirt on me. You're not a good person to say something like that, so I won't blame you. Huamin coldly glanced at Jian Tong's delicate face, which was covered with makeup. Fine, everyone says you're a genius with a sharp tongue. I can't outtalk you. What I want to say is, Lord Su is doing great with me. You don't have to worry about him, and you don't have to feel guilty about him. He's doing great, and I'll work hard to become Mrs. Su in a short time. After saying that, Jian Tong slammed the soup bowl on the marble table with a loud bang, then turned around. Huamin wasn't in a good mood. She might know why Suyu did what he did, but she didn't think Suyu's actions were rational. Huamin understood that Suyu wanted her to be happy, so that she could live happily with Mr. Qin and his family without any psychological burden or guilt. However, his actions made Huamin's heart ache even more. Huamin suddenly remembered something Jiang Xiaowei once said to her. Suyu loved her so much that he was humble. He was so humbled that he was willing to do anything for her, as long as he was good to her. At this thought, Huamin's heart began to ache. When she came out of the kitchen, her face was calm again, and she served everyone soup. After sitting for a while, Huamin and his family got up to leave. Stay a bit longer, it's still early. Lady Su said reluctantly. Mian, play chess with me. Grandpa Qin looked at Huamin with love in his eyes. Lord Su, we'll play another day. It's getting late, you should rest early. Don't forget to take your blood pressure medicine. Don't be angry, stay in a good mood and get regular checkups. I know, you're such a chatterbox. Lord Su chuckled. Suyu, we're going back, Huamin said for the first time that night. Of course, Min glanced at Suyu. Suyu nodded. Okay, be careful. Then he turned around and looked at the twins. Pudding, little bean, say goodbye to me. Suyu smiled and waved his hand. Pudding, of course, Mian, little. She glanced at Suyu and wanted to say hello, but Pudding hit her again. So, she made up her mind and left. Hey, what's wrong with these two kids tonight? Why are they so rude? For the first time, Suyu was ignored by the twins. This was the first time in 3 years. His heart was filled with a sense of loss. I'm sorry. They're too young to understand. Qin Chu apologized to Suyu, feeling guilty. Oh, it's okay. They're only angry for a while, they'll be fine. I'll send Pudding a WeChat message. Suyu smiled. Qin Chu nodded. Be careful on your way back, drive slowly. Suyu said politely. Qin Chu nodded again and said goodbye to the Su family. Mom, Dad, Grandpa, we're leaving too. Seeing Huamin and the others leave, Suyu didn't want to stay at home for a second longer. He grabbed his jacket and was about to leave. Wait, I have something to talk to you about. Lady Su glanced at her son and called him to the pantry on the first floor. Jian Tong, on the other hand, was sitting on the couch in the living room, playing with her phone and scrolling through Weibo. She didn't seem to care that the Su family didn't like her. Grandpa Su went upstairs to his study, and Mr. Su wasn't in a good mood either. The driver drove them out to meet an old friend for tea. Mom, what's up? What's going on between you and Jian Tong? What do you mean what's going on? Suyu played dumb. Are you two real or fake? Are you putting on a show for Mian? Lady Su asked. Chapter 1854. Mom, does it make a difference whether it's real or not? I have a girlfriend anyway, isn't the world at peace? Suyu's eyes looked tired, as if he didn't want to talk about his relationship with Jian Tong. How can it be the same? Son, you've been single all these years. You've always stuck to your principles and wanted to find someone you like. Now that things have gotten to this point, how can you give up all of a sudden? Lady Su tried her best to persuade him. What else can I do? I've already left Mion's side. As long as Qin Chu is here, she won't see anyone else. Suyu looked very lonely. But Mion isn't the only girl in the world. You can't give up the entire forest for one tree. Mion is great, but she has a happy family. We can't be the third wheel. Mom, who wants to be the third wheel? You're getting off topic. Suyu held his head. Anyways, the Su family won't let Jian Tong marry into our family. Mom, what are you talking about? What do you mean marry her? Suyu looked at his mother helplessly. Aren't you going to? I'm dating her, not marrying her. I've already thought about it, I'm going to be a celibate. I'll never get married. As for grandchildren, don't worry, I'm just going to make a few for you guys, okay? Ha! What are you talking about? Lady Su was obviously unhappy. Okay. I still have things to do, I'm going back to the mansion. Mom, you should rest early. Otherwise, you won't be pretty. Then, before Lady Su could say anything, Suyu turned around and left. Lady Su looked at her son's back worriedly, she sighed slightly and went upstairs. What did that brat say? Lord Su came out of the study and asked in a serious tone. Dad. I think, maybe Mion's incident hit him hard, and he's giving up on himself. Giving up on himself, humph. Then tell him not to say that he's a member of the Su family. He's a disgrace to the Su family. Also, tell him not to let me see that girl in the house. Master Lord Su's face was filled with anger as he returned to his room with his hands behind his back. Lady Su was left in a dilemma. The old one was angry, and the young one was disobedient. How great would it be if Mion was really his daughter-in-law? He didn't know when Lady Su had developed such greed. On the way back, the twins didn't say a word. They seemed very unhappy. Huami knew that they were still angry about what had happened between Su Yu and Jian Tong. Pudding, you went a little overboard today. You shouldn't have said that to Uncle Su. He's always loved you and Little Bean. He'll be very sad if you talk back to him like that, Huami scolded. Then what should I say? Should I say that his new girlfriend is beautiful? Was she praising them for being a good match? That's not my style. Pudding wasn't in a good mood as she looked out the window and answered her mother's question. What I mean is, your Uncle Su is an adult, and he has his reasons for his decisions. You're still kids, so you shouldn't be so rude. Today, you said those things in front of so many people. Uncle Su will be very embarrassed. Huamin slowed down his tone, trying to persuade Pudding. Otherwise, the Su family would think that she didn't teach her daughter well. Aren't you embarrassed by what handsome Su did? Pudding asked. Chapter 1855. Pudding's words left Huamin speechless. As expected, even Huamin couldn't deal with this little girl. Huamin knew he couldn't win against his daughter. He immediately looked at Qin Chu, who was driving, as if asking for help. Qin Chu understood and glanced at Pudding through the rearview mirror. Pudding. What mommy means is, Uncle Su's business is the Su family's business. We can't poke our nose into everything. That would be rude. No matter how good a friend is, there should be a bottom line, right? Daddy, I understand now. Handsome Sue probably thinks we're meddling in his business. But I really didn't expect him to do something like this. I'm a little sad. Be a good girl. Uncle Sue might have taken things too hard. He might not do it in a few days. We have to give him time. Don't be sad. Daddy's here for you. Okay, Daddy. I want to go out to sea tomorrow. Can I? Pudding was still a child. When she was in a bad mood, she knew she wanted to see the sea. Sure, Daddy will take you tomorrow. Thank you, Daddy. Pudding's face finally brightened up. Then, Pudding, who had always been known as a glutton and cute, didn't say anything. She didn't even want to interrupt. Pudding, we're going out to sea tomorrow. Are you happy? You have to dress up. Daddy will take some beautiful photos of you guys. Chin-Chu gently coaxed his little daughter. Daddy, I'm a little tired. I don't think I'll go. You take Pudding. Pudding was even more depressed. Chin-Chu, Pudding, Daddy will make a lot of delicious food on the cruise. There's also fresh salmon sashimi and your favorite tuna sushi. Those are Daddy's signature dishes. You'll regret it if you don't eat them. Huamin tried to tempt her with delicious food. Mommy, am I just a glutton in your eyes? Pudding looked up and asked. Chin-Chu, Huamin, no, little bean, you're the best in Daddy and Mommy's hearts. You and your sister are our pride, Chin-Chu comforted her patiently. If that's the case, then don't try to talk me out of it. I'm really not in the mood. I thought Handsome Sue loved me and my sister. I didn't expect him to have a change of heart so quickly. He even found a pretentious bitch. Aw. I'm so annoyed. I'm not going to talk to Handsome Sue anymore. I'm so sad. Chin-Chu and Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Daddy, don't talk her out of it. Since Little Bean is in such a bad mood, let her stay with Grandma tomorrow. We can go out and play. I want Daddy to teach me how to fish. Pudding interrupted. All right, it's decided then. Wait a minute, aren't you going to persuade me? You're giving up just like that? Little Bean immediately perked up. I tried to persuade you, but you wouldn't listen. Since that's the case, you should stay at home and have some peace. TSK. You did it on purpose, didn't you? I did. Are you going to bite me? As they talked, the two sisters started to fight again, giving Huamin a headache. Chin-Chu could tell that Huamin was tired. With one hand on the steering wheel, he put his other hand on the back of Huamin's hand. Are you tired? Hang in there, we're almost home. Emichim, don't worry about Suyu. I don't think he's a reckless person. There must be other reasons. I'll talk to him when I have time, Chin-Chu comforted. I know. Honey, don't worry about me. I'm really fine. Huamin smiled. On the other side, Suyu and Jian-Tong drove back to Suyu's mansion. As the two of them walked into the forest, a few faint flashes of light came from the bushes not far behind them. Jian-Tong walked behind Suyu. When she turned around, she had a smug smile on her face. It's getting late. I'll get someone to take you home. Suyu was exhausted and didn't even look at Jian-Tong. President Su, I'm willing to continue acting with you. Jian-Tong looked at Suyu affectionately and said. Chapter 1856. One scene is enough. Suyu was in low spirits, so his voice was much softer than usual. To be honest, today's scene was really tiring, even though he owned a film and television company. But acting wasn't his forte. Huamin is so smart. If we just do one scene, he'll probably see through us. Then, everything we've done before will be meaningless, so you didn't say anything. Jian Tong carefully took 2 steps forward. President Su. I'm not afraid of trouble. I'm willing to act with you. I'll stop whenever you tell me to. I won't pester you. Why do you have to do this? Su Yu felt sorry for himself, so why was Jian Tong even more pitiful than him? Really, I'm doing this willingly. I don't have a boyfriend right now, and President Su, if you act with me to create a scandal, it'll improve my career, so why not? I won't lose anything. Please don't feel burdened. Su Yu still didn't say anything. He just sighed slightly. There's something I want to tell you. You'll probably be very angry, Jian Tong said softly. What is it? I got a reporter to follow me. I'm going to expose it tomorrow morning. Su Yu, President Su, if you want to scold me, you can order them to return the negatives. After all, I planned this myself. Jian Tong made herself sound very wronged and took the initiative to clarify this time. Because of this, even if Su Yu wanted to scold Jian Tong, he didn't know how to say it. Jian Tong was very smart. Forget it. It doesn't matter. After all, I brought you home in such a big way, so the media probably took pictures of it. President Su, can I not go back tonight? If I stay overnight, it'll be more believable. Of course, don't worry, I won't do anything to you. I'll sleep downstairs and won't disturb your rest. Do whatever you want. I'm a little tired. Su Yu wasn't in the mood to continue chatting with Jian Tong, so he got up and walked upstairs. Jian Tong seemed to be used to Su Yu's indifference. She was even a little surprised that she finally had this opportunity. After all, she really wanted to thank Huamin. Without Huamin's provocation, President Su probably wouldn't have thought of using her as a cover. But no matter what, this was what Jian Tong wanted. She rested in the bedroom downstairs. It didn't feel strange at all. She used the bathroom casually. After Su Yu went upstairs, he didn't come down again, nor did he say another word to Jian Tong. The next morning when Jian Tong went downstairs, Jian Tong had already prepared breakfast. President Su, there's only fried eggs and toast in the fridge, so I made some fried eggs. I hope you don't mind. I'm not eating anymore. Su Yu was still in low spirits. Seeing Su Yu not eating, Jian Tong stopped eating. She picked up her coat and followed him out. However, before they even arrived at the company, the news on their phones was already overwhelming. President of Imperial Star, Su Yu, was suspected to have gotten back together with his ex-girlfriend, Jian Tong. They spent the night together at his mansion, and their relationship was exposed. When Huamin was eating breakfast in the morning, his phone kept popping up. Zhu Lingling, Mian, what's going on with Lord Su? Jian Tong. Oh my god. I don't like that little bitch. Jiang Xiaowei, what's going on with Lord Su? Is it true that he's with Jian Tong? Do you know? Ni Yang, sis, the company is saying that Jian Tong and President Su got back together, is that true? I think it's on the headlines. Huamin picked up his phone and was about to reply when putting threw her phone on the floor, full of emotions. Pudding, what's going on? Qin Chu looked at his eldest daughter in confusion. That woman must have done something as shameful as exposing their relationship. Handsome Su wouldn't do something so high-profile now. That despicable woman. Pudding seemed to have a lot of animosity towards Jian Tong. She was sure that Jian Tong was behind everything. As for handsome Su, he was just being used. Chapter 1857. Qin Zhaozhao, didn't I tell you that you shouldn't bring your personal feelings to the dinner table? Huamin was clearly angry. I just can't stand that scheming bitch using handsome Sue. Pudding said angrily. That's Sue Yu's business, it has nothing to do with you. You're just a junior and have no right to comment on this. Plus, you're throwing a tantrum at home. Who gave you the right to be so willful? Although Huamin loved his daughters, he didn't want them to be spoiled. Therefore, he would reason with the twins and establish his authority. Yesterday at the Su mansion, Pudding and Little Bean teamed up to attack Su Yu and Jian Tong. Huamin tried his best to tolerate it. He only educated them and didn't say much. However, when the news came out today, Pudding lost her cool and even smashed her phone. Huamin was completely enraged. Mommy, sis is just too angry. After all, handsome Sue crossed the line this time. Seeing that her mommy was really angry, Little Bean immediately spoke up for her sister. Shut up. This is none of your business. We're talking to your sister. Huamin was furious. Pudding pouted and lowered her head, not looking at Huamin. She seemed to be angry as well. Chin Chu stood up and was about to pick up the phone that Pudding had smashed. However, Huamin scolded him, "Honey, don't touch it. Let her pick it up herself." "Forget it, Mian. She's still a child." Chin Chu really cared about his daughter. "No, this isn't up for discussion. If I don't control her this time, I can't guarantee that she'll cause more trouble in the future. If you love me and our daughter, don't interfere." Chin Chu was speechless. Huamin's words completely shut Chin Chu up. He looked at Pudding helplessly. Then, he looked at Little Bean. Little Bean immediately gave her daddy a look. Then, she whispered, "Daddy, forget it. Mommy is really angry. It's scary. Let's keep quiet." Chin Chu knew that Huamin wanted to educate the child, so he resisted the urge to pick it up. At this moment, Pudding's eyes were already filled with tears. They welled up, but they didn't fall. It was obvious that she was holding it in. Pudding and Little Bean had very different personalities. Little Bean had a sweet mouth and knew how to coax people. Even if she did something wrong, she would immediately apologize. But Pudding was different. She was calm, smart, and even a little arrogant, so she rarely made mistakes. Even if he did something wrong, his pride wouldn't allow him to admit his mistake so easily. After Huamin scolded her in front of the whole family, Pudding immediately felt embarrassed. "Qin Zhao Zhao, hurry up and pick up the phone." Huamin repeated in a serious tone. "Sis, hurry up and pick it up. Mommy is really angry." "She's not joking," Little Bean tried to persuade her sister. After 3 seconds of silence, Pudding got off the stool and walked over slowly with her head lowered. Then, she picked up the phone with one hand and wiped her tears with the other. Chin Chu was heartbroken to see this, but when he saw Huamin's expression, he didn't want to interfere. He lowered his head and continued to eat without saying anything. Pudding picked up the phone and placed it on the table in front of Huamin. Her attitude was clear, "I already picked up the phone, what else do you want?" Huamin didn't seem to be done with this matter so quickly. She picked up the rose gold phone from a famous brand, looked at it, and slowly said, "The screen is broken. This phone cost 5,360 yuan when I bought it, and it's still 2,000 yuan to replace the screen. Qin Zhao Zhao, you have 2 choices now. Either you don't use this phone anymore, or you give me 2,000 yuan right now, and I'll get someone to fix it for you." "Honey." Chin Chu couldn't hold it in anymore. "Honey, keep eating, you don't have to plead for her." Huamin glanced at Chin Chu. Pudding still bit her lips and didn't say anything. "Not saying anything? Are you mute? You don't use the phone anymore, right? Then I'll smash it." After speaking, Huamin picked up the phone and smashed it on the floor again. This action shocked everyone. Chapter 1858. The floor of South Hill Manor's dining room was made of marble. Pudding was still young, so she didn't use much strength when she fell. Therefore, only the screen was broken. However, Huamin was an adult, so the phone was completely broken. Little Bean was so scared that she almost spilled her milk. Pudding was finally intimidated by her mother's imposing manner. Perhaps it was because she was frightened, and she burst into tears. "Don't just cry. You threw a tantrum just now and broke the phone Mommy gave you. I told you to pick it up, but you didn't want to. I asked you if you wanted to fix it, but you didn't answer. Qin Zhao Zhao, you're only 3 years old. You don't have the ability to make money yet. Everything you eat and use belongs to Mommy and Daddy. You can be angry, but you have to change your bad habit of throwing things around. We don't allow children with princess syndrome in our family. Who said I don't have money? I have stocks." Pudding didn't want to admit defeat as she yelled at Huamin. "Then let me ask you, who gave you the money in the stocks?" "I can pay you back the money, but I earned the rest," Pudding argued. "Really? That's good. Then if you pay me back the money you earned, you can leave home and live on your own. You're so smart, you're a genius. You don't need Mommy, Daddy, Little Bean, a nanny, a chauffeur, or a housekeeper. You can go out on your own. Mommy, don't kick big sister out." Little Bean burst into tears when she heard that things were getting out of hand. Although she often bickered with Pudding, she still liked her sister. She knew that although Pudding was arrogant and cold, she was very kind and treated her well. She would always share good food with Pudding. Hearing Mommy's heartless words, Pudding couldn't stop her tears from flowing out. Her tears were like a flood. She cried so sadly. Even the housekeeper, Uncle Lee, couldn't stand it anymore. He walked over and said, "A young lady, Little Bean is still young. Uncle Lee, I don't want anyone to interfere when I discipline my daughter." Huamin's cold words shut Uncle Lee up, "So, you can make a choice. If you think you're good enough, you can leave home, or you can go to the warehouse and reflect on your mistakes. Think about what you did wrong. That's it. I have a meeting at the company later." After speaking, Huamin stood up. "Wifey, hubby, come with me to the company. It just so happens that there's something I need to deal with in the company." Qin Chu wanted to say that he wanted to stay at home with his daughter. However, when he saw the look in Huamin's eyes, he didn't dare to say anything. He knew that Huamin must have her own ideas. Little Bean was too scared to cry anymore. Pudding turned around and obediently went into a small warehouse on the first floor. That was the place where the family stored their sundries. It was only 28 square meters and the windows were very small. It was similar to a prison. Huamin rarely used this place. This time, it was Pudding who had completely angered her. After Pudding entered the room, she locked the door. Then, the sound of her crying could be heard intermittently. "Mian, what are you doing? She's still young." When Yang Meirong came downstairs and saw this, she immediately scolded her daughter. "It's because she's young that she needs to be educated. Otherwise, when she grows up, I won't be able to control her anymore." Huamin's face was cold from beginning to end. Then, she picked up her bag and walked out. Qin Chu quietly followed behind her. Little Bean was too scared to beg for mercy. She could only hold her grandmother's hand and watch her parents leave the house. Sigh. That damn girl. Why is she like this? After Huamin left, Yang Meirong held Little Bean's hand and walked to the door of the small warehouse. "Pudding, it's your grandmother. Open the door, your mom's already gone. Don't listen to her nonsense about reflecting on your mistakes." Chapter 1859. Grandma, you guys should go. I want to be alone for a while. Why are you so stubborn? You're just like your mom when she was young. Seriously, Grandma, that's how Pudding is. Let's wait for her to think things through. She'll come out on her own. In the Audi R8, Chin Chu looked at Huamin as he drove. She seemed to be in a bad mood. Honey, aren't you a bit too strict with Pudding? Don't you think she's been in a bad mood lately? She cares a lot about Suyu. But it's understandable. After all, Suyu has been so good to her and her sister over the years. It's understandable that she doesn't like Jian Tong. It's understandable that she doesn't like Jian Tong. But who would see her throwing a tantrum at home? Huamin asked. You're an adult and she's still a kid. Honey, don't always use the word child as an excuse. Spoiling a child is equivalent to killing a child. A loving mother will spoil a child. I don't want my daughters to be arrogant and bossy in society. I don't want everything to go according to their wishes. There are too many things in this world that you can't get, and too many things that don't go your way. Chin Chu reached out his hand and gently stroked Huamin's pretty face. Honey, thank you for your hard work. It's not easy to give birth to a child, and it's even harder to raise a child. I'll slowly educate our daughters with you. It's not hard at all. I just want them to be safe and healthy when they grow up. I just want them to be docile. Honey, you're right. Honey, was I too fierce just now? Did I scare you? Huamin looked at Chin Chu embarrassedly. You didn't scare me, but I'm worried that our daughters will be traumatized. They won't. Don't worry, they can take it very well. Pudding isn't as docile as Little Bean. She's cold and stubborn, especially when it comes to Suyu. I'll take the opportunity to teach her a lesson. She'll be fine. Okay. Chin Chu felt helpless. What kind of expression is that? Why do I feel that someone is only worried about his daughter and not his wife? Nonsense, how could that be? My wife is always the most important. Chin Chu pursed his lips and smiled. Huamin nodded in satisfaction and let him go. Chin Chu hadn't gone to GK since his return. It wasn't because he didn't want to deal with it, but because he believed that Huamin would handle it well. Plus, he was now the president of GK's headquarters in the United States, so it would be too low of him to be in charge of domestic business. This was his first time here, and as soon as he walked in, GK went into an uproar. President Chin, you're back. Heavens. Good evening, President Chin. Oh, no, good morning. Some employees were so surprised that they couldn't speak coherently. Chin Chu and Huamin held hands and made a high-profile appearance at GK headquarters. Their presence overwhelmed the gossip about Suyu's relationship. All of the employees wanted to see President Chin's face. Yang was so excited that he hugged Chin Chu. President Chin, you're finally back. Okay, don't hug like that, it's weird for two grown men to act like this. Yeah, we can't get too close, or else there'll be rumors. Yang smiled with tears in his eyes. President Chin, you're finally back, that's great. Bella was also excited. Wow, brother-in-law is back, see you in the morning. Jixin patted Chin Chu's shoulder excitedly. They had to prepare for the new quarter's jewelry release, so even though it was the weekend, everyone was working overtime. Huamin and Chin Chu were just about to go in with their documents when, suddenly, she received a phone call. She looked down at her phone and saw that it was Huasichen calling. She immediately hung up, but her phone rang again. Huamin couldn't take it anymore and picked up. What do you want? Mian, we're in big trouble, Huasichen said in a strange tone. Chapter 1860. Hua Xiqian, don't try to be mysterious. Huamin scolded with a cold expression. Mian, you don't believe me. Hua Xiqian seemed a little disappointed. His relationship with Huamin was at its lowest point in history. Not only could he not get close to her, but he also couldn't get close to her. Huamin wouldn't even believe anything he said, which showed just how evil he was. The warm times when he and Huamin used to eat face to face were gone. Hua Xiqian's heart ached every time he thought about it. Why should I believe you? You're my enemy, Huamin said righteously. Fine. Enemy. How? That's how you see me. In my heart, I'll never oppose you. You'll never be my enemy. Mian, I'm not trying to mystify you or scare you. We're really in trouble. You'll find out soon anyway. Anyway, be careful for now, especially the twins. If you dare to touch my daughters, I'll kill you. Huamin thought Hua Xiqian was going to threaten him with his daughters. Mian, it's not me. I'm not going to touch your daughters, I just think you might have a lot of enemies. Anyways, be careful, that's all. Then, before Huamin could say anything, Hua Xiqian hung up the phone. What's up? Qin Chu heard Huamin mention Hua Xiqian's name, so he was worried that Huamin was up to something again. It's fine, he's crazy. Huamin helplessly put away his phone. Then, he followed Qin Chu into the conference room. Qin Chu's return greatly boosted GK's morale, and many of the executives were excited. Huamin and Qin Chu sat side by side in the president's seat. It was the first time the couple had a morning meeting together, and it felt quite special. During the meeting, Huamin noticed that Jixin was distracted. He seemed to have something on his mind. The secretary beside him reminded him many times, but he still refused to change. Director Jing, Huamin called out in front of everyone. President Hua, you called for me. Jing Jixin finally came back to his senses. What do you think of the new proposal proposed by Director Wang? Huamin asked deliberately. Then, she saw Jixin's dumbfounded expression. He was distracted and didn't pay attention, so he didn't know what the new plan was. Jing Jixin was a little embarrassed. He lowered his head and didn't dare to say anything. Did you not sleep well last night? Huamin asked. No. I slept very well. Then why are you spacing out? This is a morning meeting. This is not your personal time. Please adjust your state of mind as soon as possible and don't affect others, okay? Okay. Jixin felt guilty. He felt like he had let his sister down in front of so many people. Okay then, sit down. Let's continue. Huamin's tone was extremely formal. He didn't show any mercy when he lectured her brother. She didn't want to cause Jixin to be distracted because of her. That would be really embarrassing. After the morning meeting, the two returned to the office. Huamin noticed that Mr. Qin seemed to have something on his mind. He seemed a little restless. Honey, yeah. Something's on your mind. No, I don't believe you, okay. Honey, I'm a little worried about Pudding. She's alone in a small storage unit. Is she scared? Mr. Qin finally told the truth. PSH, so you're worried about your daughter. Huamin pretended to be jealous. Hey. What are you talking about? Isn't she your daughter? Mr. Qin felt wronged. Chapter 1861. Trust me, she'll be fine. Your eldest daughter is even more arrogant than you. If you don't teach her a lesson, she won't know how to control herself. But she'll be fine. Don't worry. Okay. I hope she'll be fine. But I still think that I should comfort Pudding when I go home. She's still young and I'm worried that you scared her today. Chin Chu was full of fatherly love. When he saw his two daughters, he felt a strong sense of fatherly responsibility. Therefore, when Huamin's mind was on work, Chin Chu was thinking about whether his daughter was crying at home or if her emotions had calmed down. Moreover, he had just called Uncle Lee in the pantry and secretly asked about the situation. Uncle Lee's answer was that pudding was still in the small storage unit and no one knew the details. Hearing this, Chin Chu was even more anxious. He really wanted to drive home and check on the situation. He didn't want to scare the kids. However, Huamin was so confident that nothing would happen to him. Therefore, Mr. Chin was conflicted and felt uneasy just now. President Hua, these are the documents that need your signature. Please take a look. Bella put down the documents. Huamin nodded and was about to take a look when Jixin walked in. President Hua, what's up? I'm sorry, I was distracted. I'll be more careful in the future. Please don't be mad at me. I'm not mad. I was just doing my job and scolded you in public. Huamin looked up at his brother. Okay, I'm going out to work. Call me if you need me. Jixin and Bella walked out of the office together. President Hua won't be mad at you. He's just stating the facts. Don't be too sad, Bella comforted Jixin. I heard that it's your birthday soon. How did you know? Bella looked surprised. Someone in the office accidentally mentioned it and I overheard. Ever since I came to the company, you've helped me a lot. To show my gratitude, I'll treat you to dinner on your birthday. No, thank you for your kindness. My boyfriend will be coming back from overseas on my birthday. Bella's face was filled with happiness. Oh, so you have a boyfriend. I thought. Jixin was a little surprised. Why do you think? Bella chuckled. I thought. I've never seen a man pick you up, so I thought you were single. Jixin looked a little disappointed. My boyfriend is my university classmate. After graduation, he moved to Tian High. We've always been separated. I see. Okay then. Jixin left in a daze. After Jixin graduated and came to GK, he didn't want to have a girlfriend. He just wanted to work hard to help his sister. Due to the tragedy with Huang Yu, he was now quite afraid of coming into contact with girls. Many girls in the company were very enthusiastic about Jixin. After all, he was President Hua's younger brother. Marrying Jixin was like marrying into a rich family, plus, Jixin was young, handsome, talented, and had returned from overseas. Who wouldn't like him? Unfortunately, none of those girls could move him. Only the mature and steady Bella was able to move him. As Huamin's assistant, Bella had a high status in the company. Her swift and decisive style and meticulous mind were praised by everyone in the company, as well as Huamin's approval. Most importantly, Bella was very gentle. She was very nice to all her colleagues and didn't engage in office fights. This was what the simple-minded Jixin liked the most. This morning, he was distracted during the meeting because he was thinking about what birthday present to buy for Bella. He originally wanted to wait for Bella's birthday and invite her to dinner alone to improve their relationship. However, he didn't expect her to have a boyfriend. Jixin felt like a bucket of cold water was poured over him. His heart instantly sank. Imperial Star headquarters. After their relationship was made public, the outside world was abuzz with rumors. The Su family expressed their dissatisfaction, and Su Yu was well aware of it. He didn't come home for dinner for the past 2 days. When his mother called, he gave her a perfunctory answer. Jian Tong, on the other hand, was still in the limelight. Because of her scandal, she once again appeared on the hot search list and occupied the front page of all the major media outlets. Wei Liao happened to have nothing to do today, so he drove directly to Imperial Star. President Su, President Wei is here. and came in to report. Chapter 1862. Tell him to come in. Tell the secretary to make 2 cups of coffee. Suyu put down his work and stood up. Emichim, and nodded. Wei Liao walked in with his car keys. What's going on, young Master Wei? You want to drink with me so early in the morning? Suyu smiled. I'm not in the mood for that. I've been so busy lately. Wei Yunchu has a fever and is in the hospital. Xiao Wei and I are so tired. What's wrong with Yunchu? He caught a cold, his fever won't go down, so he's getting an injection at the hospital. It's not easy to raise a child. Suyu sighed. The secretary brought in 2 cups of coffee. Suyu and Wei Liao sat on the sofa and chatted leisurely. Where's young Master Tang these days? Did he go abroad to pick up girls again? Suyu was puzzled. No, the Tang family has been trying to impeach him and arrange for him to get married. He doesn't have time to come out. His father confiscated all 5 of his sports cars and froze all his bank cards. Damn, you're so serious. Young Master Tang's life is going to be interesting this time. Suyu smiled. What's going on with you? Wei Liao glanced at Suyu and asked. What are you talking about? Suyu pretended not to know. What do you think? Wei Liao rolled his eyes at him. My relationship being exposed. Emichim, there's nothing to talk about. After all these years, don't you know me? Suyu smiled and leaned back heavily on the sofa behind him. You don't say, I really don't know you. What's going on in that head of yours? What's going on with Jian Tong? Even if you want to find someone to be cannon fodder, you shouldn't have asked her. Wei Liao was a little angry. Isn't it good to have my own employee? I don't have the patience to coax someone else. So you're doing this so that Huamin won't feel burdened and can live a happy life with Qin Chu and his family? Suyu was silent for a long time. In the end, he only replied with a soft, Wei Liao was furious. Ridiculous. You can't sacrifice your own happiness just to fulfill Huamin's happiness. Suyu licked his dry lips and looked up at Wei Liao sadly. The moment I lost her, I no longer had any happiness to speak of. Wei Liao was stunned, and he seemed to have never expected that Suyu would say this. No, you can't say that you lost her. If you never had her, how could you lose her? I'm really confused. Suyu smiled bitterly. Your feelings for Huamin. I really don't want to persuade you anymore. I watched you fall step by step with my own eyes, but I couldn't do anything to stop it. I'm sadder than you are. Huamin worked as a nurse at Southside, then became a doctor, then got married and had children. Now, a few years have passed. Not only did you not wake up, but you've also become more and more poisoned. Once upon a time, I thought that Qin Chu was really dead and that he wouldn't come back, and Huamin might be moved to be with you. But in the end, none of that happened. Perhaps it's cruel for you, but think about it, there's no such thing as fairness in the world. You're jealous that Huamin loves Qin Chu, and Qin Chu is jealous that you were able to accompany Huamin to get pregnant and have children. You're right. Qin Chu has too many worries and too many helplessness. He loves Huamian so much, but he still missed out on 11 years with her. If it were me, I wouldn't bear to leave her even if I were beaten to death. Suyu sighed. How can 2 people be the same? You can't say that Qin Chu doesn't love Huamian deeply just because he's bored. He and Huamian have been together since they were young, and their feelings for each other have far surpassed the feelings of a normal man and woman. It's like an unbreakable family. In a situation like this, you lost from the very beginning, so you shouldn't have any expectations for the future. You're right, I shouldn't have any wishful thinking. I'm the one who caused this situation. I've never blamed Huamin, but I just can't convince myself to give up. Wei Liao, what should I do? Sometimes, I feel like I'm going to die from the heartache. Suyu lowered his head and covered his chest with one hand as it began to ache again. Chapter 1863. Lord Su, I really don't want to talk you out of it because you won't listen to me. But Jian Tong is definitely not the right person for you. If you're just sad for a while and want to use her as a shield, you should know when to stop. After all, a woman's thoughts can be very scary sometimes. Don't hurt Huamin because of your selfish decision. Think about Zhao Qinya, Song Yisher, and the others. So you didn't say anything, but he felt that Wei Liao had a point. Just then, Suyu's phone rang. It was a video call. Suyu glanced at the caller ID and saw that it was Little Bean. Little Bean and Little Bean both had their own phones. They were all bought by Huamin. They were very good at it and knew many functions that Huamin didn't know. They were also on WeChat every day. Suyu would send red packets to the sisters every holiday. They had a lot of fun. Suyu pressed a button on his phone and picked up the video call. Then, he immediately put away his gloominess and smiled gently. Little Bean, did you miss me? Handsome Su, something happened to my family. Little Bean lowered her voice and said mysteriously. Looking at the background behind her, Suyu guessed that she was in a small study in her villa. What happened? Handsome Su looked at the little person on the other side of the phone in surprise. My sister was grounded by my mommy. Suyu, why? Did Little Bean do something wrong? Suyu was confused. Yeah. My sister has been unhappy since she left your house that day. You should know that my sister and I don't like Bimbo Jian, right? Wei Liao stood on the side, speechless. Little Bean was only 3 years old, but she already gave Jian Tong a nickname, Bimbo Jian. The Wei family really didn't want such a daughter-in-law. Wei Yunchu was so honest, how could he stop her? Were they not even on the same level? Ahem. Little Bean, don't give Auntie Jian Tong a nickname. It doesn't sound good, Suyu tried to persuade her. Handsome Su, don't interrupt me. Listen to me, Little Bean said helplessly. Okay, continue. Because of what happened to Bitch Jian, my sister and I were very angry. Mommy taught us that Uncle Su's business is the Su family's business. We're outsiders and shouldn't interfere. Moreover, we're the younger generation. We shouldn't interfere with the decisions of the elders. Your mother is right, Wei Liao said. Uncle Wei, don't say anything. You'll mess up my rhythm. Little Bean glanced at Wei Liao. Alright, Uncle Wei knows his mistake. Wei Liao couldn't help but laugh. No wonder everyone liked twins. They were so cute. If he wasn't careful, he might accidentally poke her cute spot. Ha! Where was I? Little Bean was confused. You said that Pudding was grounded by your mommy, Suyu reminded her with a smile. Yes. My sister had a big reaction when she saw the news this morning. She smashed the cell phones mommy bought for us. Luckily, we each have one. Otherwise, if we had to share one, I would have been implicated by my sister. Pudding smashed her cell phone. Did she have to do that? Suyu was also stunned. He and Jian Tong had been together for a long time. My sister smashing her cell phone isn't the main point. Maybe she's just emotionally unstable. But my mommy smashing her cell phone is the main point. Damn, you didn't see it. It was so scary. I've been in this world for more than 3 years, and this is the first time I've seen my mommy so angry. Suyu, hearing this, Wei Liao burst out laughing. Little Bean's reaction was too funny. Chapter 1864. Your mommy smashed her phone too. Suyu couldn't believe it. He had known Huamin for a long time, but he had never seen her smash her phone. How angry was she? It's true. Mommy smashed her phone and scared Pudding to tears. She was really angry. She said that Pudding was a princess who didn't want to earn money. She wasted money and smashed things. She even almost kicked Pudding out of the house. Where's Pudding now? Suyu was a bit worried. She's in my little storage unit. Mommy wants her to face the wall and she's not allowed to eat lunch. No way. That's so cruel, yeah. My daddy and grandma begged for mercy, but it was no use. You know, Mommy has the highest status in the family, Little Bean added. Then. Give Pudding the phone. I want to talk to her. Suyu was a bit anxious and wanted to comfort Pudding. I can't do anything if she doesn't open the door. She's as stubborn as a donkey. What should I do? I'll send her a WeChat message. Suyu was a bit anxious. Handsome Sue, are you stupid? I just said that Mommy smashed her phone. She doesn't have a phone to use now, Little Bean reminded him. Look at your IQ. You're not even as smart as a 3-year-old. Wei Liao laughed. Shut up. It's not the time to joke. Huamin is really pissing me off. She grounded Pudding. She's a stepmother. Suyu was furious. Little Bean, don't worry. I'll call your mommy right now and ask her. Don't. If you call my mommy, doesn't that mean I told you? Do you want to kill me? One of my family members is in jail. Do you want me to go to the storage unit too? But, what should we do now? Suyu was also confused. I think you can pretend to call my mommy and say you want to take us out. Then my mommy won't be able to handle it. Yeah, perfect. Wait for me. I'll call her now. Go, but don't let it slip. Otherwise, our friendship will capsize and the ship of love will sink. Little Bean threatened. Suyu smiled helplessly. Is the relationship between the two of us so unstable? It actually feels like our friendship will end at any time. Be a good boy, handsome Sue. I'm just telling you to save my sister. I understand. After hanging up the phone, Wei Liao sighed and said, the twins are amazing. Their EQ is off the charts. Xiao Wei even said that she would leave one of them to be Yunchu's wife. I think we should forget about it. Your Yunchu won't be able to get the twins. These two girls are a headache for Huamin. Suyu smiled proudly as if he was talking about his own daughters. Then, he picked up his phone and called Huamin. Hello. President Hua, is he busy? Go ahead. The weather is nice today, so I want to take the twins to the golf course. Huamian remained silent after hearing this. Hello. Are you listening? Suyu asked. Did Little Bean call you and tell on me? Huamin asked calmly. No. Suyu felt guilty. Then why are you taking them out today? I don't think Imperial Star is so free that the president has nothing to do. Huamin's IQ really gave Suyu a headache. Suyu was just about to think of a way not to be seen through by Huamin. Then, he heard Huamin say, Pudding made a mistake and I locked her up. She can't go out today. Maybe another day. Hey. Why are you so serious with a kid? How old is she? You're smashing your phone and scaring her. Don't you think that's too much? You said Little Bean didn't call you. You even know the details? Huamin asked. Su Yu was completely speechless. Unknowingly, he betrayed Little Bean. He was really caught off guard. Chapter 1865. Fine, I admit it. Pudding did call me, and then. Don't you think you're a stepmother? How can you punish a child like that? She's only 3 years old. She should be punished for her mistakes, it has nothing to do with her age. Plus, I didn't punish her physically, I just wanted her to reflect on her mistakes. That shitty storage unit of yours. Will it scare Pudding? Su Yu's heart ached. Don't underestimate Qin Zhao Zhao. Although she's a capable person, she's also very resilient. Huamin felt a headache coming on. Qin Chu and Su Yu were both pleading for Pudding. It was as if she was the one who made the mistake. Why were they so biased? Anyway, I don't agree with you treating her like that. Su Yu was angry. Then what do you want? Let her go immediately, or I'll tell Grandpa. Su Yu, you're so shameless. Huamin was furious. How could he tell Lord Su that he was the one who took care of the kids? It was obvious that Grandpa Su doted on the twins. If he were to find out, the consequences would be unimaginable. I'm shameless. If you abuse the kids, then you're shameless. No way. I'll give you 1 hour. If Pudding doesn't come out by then. Su Yu, I'm telling you, don't tell Lord Su. I'll ask the butler to let her go right now. Huamin hung up the phone. What the hell was going on? After hanging up, Huamin was still angry. He called Uncle Li and asked him to open the door, but Uncle Li said Pudding had locked it from the inside. Huamin was so angry that he asked Uncle Li to find a locksmith and let her out. He would deal with her when he got home tonight. At South Hill Manor, Uncle Li followed Huamin's instructions and unlocked the storage unit. Seeing the lock was broken, Pudding slowly walked out. Miss Pudding, are you okay? Grandpa Li, I'm fine. I'm fine. Sis, you're finally out. You should thank Handsome Su. Little Bean held her sister's hand. What does it have to do with him? If I didn't call Handsome Su, do you think you would have come out so soon? TSK. Why are you so nosy? Who needs his help? Pudding seemed to still be angry with Su Yu. She turned around and left. Hey! Why don't you know what's good for you? Handsome Su asked you to video call him. I don't want it, Pudding said angrily. Then you don't want Handsome Su's red packet? No. Handsome Su said he's taking us to the golf course tomorrow. I'm not going. Then, are you really going to give up on Handsome Su? That's great. Handsome Su will be mine from now on. No one will fight with me for him, Little Bean seemed to be in a good mood. When Pudding heard this, she suddenly stopped and turned around to look at her. You should think of a way to deal with Bimbo Jian first. Little Bean, GK headquarters. After receiving Su Yu's call, Huamin was busy assigning tasks to each department. Qin Chu, on the other hand, was accompanied by Assistant Yang on a tour of each floor. He hadn't been back for a long time and felt a sense of familiarity. This was the empire that his father and uncle fought for. President Qin. Your leg hasn't fully recovered yet. Assistant Yang looked at Qin Chu's right leg sadly. It's a lot better. It doesn't affect my ability to walk, but I can't do strenuous exercise. Qin Chu smiled. It'll get better for sure, it's okay. I'm fine as it is. Life is full of challenges and difficulties. The most important thing is to know when to let go. I'm happy that I can come back and be with my wife and daughter. President Qin. I want to ask, what would you do if, you came back and found out that President Hua and President Su were together. After all, you disappeared for 4 whole years. We all thought you. Assistant Yang paused for a moment. Chin Chu slowly stopped walking as well, and his eyes darkened. Chapter 1866. You're right. It's been 4 years, so long that I wonder if I should stop disturbing her life. Then. Yang wanted to say something but stopped. I've been paying attention to the news in China. 4 years have passed, and Mian is still alone. I believe that she really can't accept Suyu. If what you said is true, and she really got together with Suyu, then I have no reason to blame her. After all, I didn't do well enough, so I believe that I would turn around and give her my blessings. I won't go back to China, I'll just silently watch her be happy. I'm not doing this because I'm noble, it's because I love her deeply and I don't want to make things difficult for her. The truth is, the thing I regret the most in my life is that I couldn't be with her when she was pregnant and gave birth. But I don't regret it. If I could turn back time and choose again, I would still do the same. My legs are just one of the reasons. More importantly, if I didn't get rid of the enemy, my wife and daughter might live in fear for the rest of their lives. As their husband and father, I won't be so cowardly, nor will I lack consideration. President Qin, your love is very deep. Unfortunately, not everyone understands this kind of love. Many people only see the surface. Many people think that President Su's 4 years of companionship is a great debt of gratitude, Yang complained on behalf of Chin Chu. I don't need everyone to understand me. In this world, only Mian understands me. Chin Chu, on the other hand, was very calm. This kind of mindset and attitude really made a noob like Yang admire him. Perhaps it was because he had been by Chin Chu's side for too long, so he understood the president's style of doing things. He knew that Chin Chu rarely said anything, but most of the time, he did everything in silence. All these years, all his thoughts were on Huamin. For Huamin, he could sacrifice his life. However, such a stubborn and patient person had once been scolded badly by others. Back then, when Chin Chu's whereabouts were unknown, someone wrote a long post on Weibo. It caused a sensation on the internet, and the fans overwhelmingly supported Huamin and Suyu being together. Then, he slandered Chin Chu, saying how irresponsible he was. They had never thought about what Chin Chu had experienced. If he hadn't been so calm and quick-witted, seeing through Hua Xiqian's plan in advance, he would have been a pile of bones by now. Xiaoyang felt that a man who endured 4 years of torment just to protect his wife was not a coward. This was perhaps a height that Suyu would never be able to reach in his lifetime. That was why Huamin was willing to give up everything just to wait for him, even if it meant waiting for a lifetime. President Qin, your leg will definitely recover, don't worry. I'm not worried. It's good enough that I can walk normally. I'm already satisfied. Chin Chu was still relatively casual. I won't force this matter anymore, because back then, the most authoritative orthopedic doctor in the United States had concluded that he would have to live with a cane for the rest of his life. And the result? With his strong willpower, he performed several surgeries and suffered a lot. He tried everything that had a chance of recovery. 4 years of follow-up examinations sounded easy to others, but Qin Ning knew how much pain her brother had to endure. When it was said that his right leg might be crippled, Chin Chu's first reaction wasn't that his leg wouldn't recover and he couldn't walk anymore. Instead, he thought, if my leg is crippled, how am I going to carry Mian on my back? Therefore, there was no need to talk about love. Time was the best proof. Time could always show a person's true nature. The person that Xiaoyang admired the most was President Qin. At such a young age, he carried the world on his own. He doted on his wife so much that he dedicated his entire life to the woman he loved. How many people in the world could do that? Xiaoyang suddenly envied Qin Chu and Huamian when they were young. They skipped classes together and ate ramen together on campus. Chapter 1867. President Qin, was President Hu special when you were in high school? She always attracted people's attention, right? Yang asked with a smile. Yeah. Back then, she was young and naive, but she was smart and never let herself be taken advantage of. Qin Chu smiled. That's great. I think if there's a chance, I can contact a famous director to make a movie about your Aegean story. It just so happens that there's a popular theme about campus youth recently, such as whose innocence isn't confused, that hurried year, the girl we chased together, etc. That's a great idea. Surprisingly, Qin Chu agreed. I'll discuss it with Huamin and see what she thinks. If she agrees, I'll do it right away. Yang's voice was tinged with excitement. There's no rush. We're only 2/3 of the way through our lives. Maybe in a few decades, when our daughters are older, we'll film it then. It'll be more memorable. Speaking of his 2 daughters, Qin Chu felt warm in his heart. He and Yang walked around the company for a while before returning to the president's office. It was almost time to get off work. Honey, do you need to work overtime today? Qin Chu walked over with a glass of milk and placed it on Huamin's desk. No, I'll be done soon. After Huamin spoke, she signed a few documents and got up to grab her jacket. By the way, didn't Hu Xiqian call me this morning? Yeah. What he said was strange. What did he say? Qin Chu looked at her. He said, both of us are in trouble. I don't know what he meant. Qin Chu's expression changed slightly, you know. Seeing Qin Chu's reaction, Huamin was a bit confused. Does it have anything to do with Ian? Qin Chu wasn't confident that he could deal with Ian because he knew that even Lu Yan and the professor couldn't do anything to him. Also, Ian's family was too complicated. If he messed with Ian, he might be hunted down for the rest of his life. That was not what he wanted to see. I don't think so. Isn't Ian on Hu Xiqian's side? If it's Ian, I should be the one in trouble with you. I will investigate this matter. Don't worry. Qin Chu held Huamin's hand lovingly and patted the back of her hand. Huamin nodded, then, the 2 of them drove home. When they arrived home, Uncle Li had already asked the kitchen to prepare dinner. Where's Pudding? Qin Chu looked around and only saw Little Bean watching cartoons in the living room. Pudding was nowhere to be seen. She's upstairs in the bedroom. She's not in a good mood, Uncle Li replied. Sis said she doesn't want to eat. She doesn't have an appetite. She didn't eat breakfast or lunch. Will she be hungry? Little Bean purposely nagged. It's good that she doesn't want to eat. Let's eat. Don't worry about her. Uncle Li, can you ask my mom to come down? Where's Uncle Jixin? Little Bean asked. He said he's having dinner with his colleagues. He won't be back for dinner, Huamin said. Then, she took off her jacket and went into the kitchen to wash her hands. When she came out, Mr. Qin was already gone. Only Little Bean was sitting at the dining table, waiting for her. Daddy went upstairs. I think he went to comfort Sis, Little Bean said. Huamin didn't say anything. In fact, she cared about her daughter. However, if she gave in now, then her performance this morning would be for nothing. So, she decided to continue acting cool and observe Pudding's reaction. Then, Huamin sat down next to Little Bean. She picked up a red bean bun from the table and took a bite. Mommy, you don't look well. Are you too tired? Little Bean asked. Chapter 1868. It's okay. Have some soup, it tastes really good. Plus, at your age, you need to take care of your skin more. Don't always think about work, or you'll become a haggard old woman, and Daddy won't like you anymore. If he doesn't like you, you'll easily go out and find a mistress. It's scary to have a mistress, and then there'll be no peace at home. Daddy won't come home at night, and you'll wash your face with tears every day. Oh, just thinking about it makes me sad. I mean, to be honest, if she wasn't used to the way the two kids talked, she would have been so angry. What they said just now would have made her choke on a red bean bun. Little bean, what are you talking about? I'm just giving you a heads up. Don't be nervous. From the current situation, Daddy still loves you very, very much. Little bean smiled. Hurry up and eat. Don't talk nonsense. I really can't believe you, Huamin lectured Bao. Upstairs in the bedroom when Chin Chu entered, Pudding was sitting alone by the piano. She was playing City in the Sky, slowly. It was obvious that she was sad. Pudding. Daddy, you're back. Pudding turned around and looked at Chin Chu with a rare smile. You're still practicing the piano, I'm just playing for fun. Are you still mad at Mommy? Chin Chu sat down beside her and asked gently. Pudding bit her lip. No, actually. I'm mad at myself. Why are you mad at yourself? Because I feel that. I seem to have been a little too willful this time and hurt Mommy's heart. Mommy is right about one thing. I brought my inner dissatisfaction into the house and affected everyone. I'm very sorry. Do you really think so? You're not angry? Chin Chu held his daughter's hand and asked patiently. Yeah, I'm not angry. I lost control of my emotions and smashed my phone. In fact, after thinking about it, I regretted it. Mommy was right. I didn't even have the ability to make money, so I learned to destroy things first. It's not a good habit. Your mommy loves you too, but sometimes she has to teach you what's right and wrong, I know. I'm really upset about Handsome Sue. You really like Handsome Sue? Yeah, I like Handsome Sue a lot. He's like Daddy and treats us the best. We know that he likes Mommy, and we thought that if Daddy didn't come back, we'd set them up in a few years. But we also know that Mommy doesn't like him. She doesn't have Handsome Sue in her heart, only Daddy. Handsome Sue must be really sad this time, or else Jian Tong wouldn't have taken advantage of him. Even if it's just an act, I don't want to see them together. That's the truth. Yes, you're right. Your Uncle Sue might have done something wrong this time, but these things can be solved. It's useless for you to sulk at home. Everyone is worried about you. I know. Then, how about going down to eat with Daddy now? Pudding couldn't seem to pull a long face. Are you embarrassed to apologize to Mommy? Chin Chu asked. Pudding pursed her lips and didn't say anything. You're just as stubborn as her. She's still waiting for you to apologize, but you don't want to. What should we do? You two are putting Daddy in a difficult position. Chin Chu deliberately laughed. Daddy, forget it. I won't go down. It'll be awkward if I see Mommy. How about I go down tomorrow morning? Pudding was still worried. But if you don't go down now, you'll miss the best opportunity. Your Mommy has been in a bad mood at the company all day. Although she didn't say it out loud, she's been thinking about you. Really? Isn't it because Handsome Sue and Daddy begged Mommy to let me out early? Pudding asked suspiciously. Chapter 1869. That's one of the reasons, but the real reason is that Mommy can't bear to let her go. Otherwise, do you think anyone would be able to help her? Chin-Chu's patient explanation made Pudding fall silent. She lowered her head, thinking about something. Just then, Chin-Chu brought over a small box. Of course, if you don't want to eat downstairs, Daddy won't force you. But Little Bean said you didn't eat this morning and noon. This is Aaliyah's cake. I heard you like their tiramisu a lot, so Daddy bought some for you. Thank you, Daddy. Pudding seemed touched. Good girl, Daddy will go downstairs first. Think about it, I'm sure Pudding will be able to think it through since she's so smart, right? Then, without further persuasion, he turned around and walked downstairs. Pudding looked at the exquisite cake with mixed feelings. Daddy, Pudding still won't come down. Is she as stubborn as a cow? Pudding's cake was already in her round belly, and there was still cream on the corner of her mouth. I think Pudding already knows she's wrong. She'll come down in a bit. Chin-Chu purposely glanced at Huamin after he spoke. Huamin didn't say anything. His expression was as calm as ever as he ate. Mian, why are you so angry at a child? Yang Meirong felt bad for her granddaughter. Mom, it's not about being angry, it's how I educate my child. How can you educate your child like that? You're almost like a stepmother. Yang Meirong was a little angry. A stepmother wouldn't be so kind as to teach her right and wrong. I know you guys feel bad for Pudding, but this time, I can't compromise. You can call me heartless or a stepmother, but I have to make her realize her mistake. Mian, how can you be like this? You. Yang Meirong seemed unhappy that her daughter was hungry. Just as she was about to continue nagging, Chin-Chu interrupted. Mom, Mian has a point. Kids are still young and don't know how to deal with things. They don't know if they're right or wrong, so we have to guide them. Mian's method is a little extreme, but Pudding isn't an ordinary child. Maybe it'll work. Hey, you guys are so annoying. Pudding's name always makes me feel like I don't exist. Pudding was anxious. She was so cute that Chin-Chu's heart melted. He immediately walked over, took the tissue, and wiped the cream off the corner of her mouth. Little Bean, try not to eat desserts at night. You'll get fat. You have to maintain your figure, or else it'll be hard for you to find a boyfriend. After all, this is a society that values looks and figures, Chin-Chu kindly reminded her. Daddy, I've already seriously considered this question 5 months ago. In the end, I came to a conclusion. Seeing how serious she was, Chin-Chu tried his best not to laugh. What's the conclusion? Chin-Chu couldn't help but ask. We're so rich, of course we can find boyfriends. Pudding and I are looking for boyfriends, whether or not they're sincere, we'll think they're after our money. So, we might as well let them be after our money. So, even if I'm 180 pounds, it doesn't matter. Anyway, the emperor's daughter doesn't have to worry about marriage. We're rich, so I can eat whatever I want. Chin-Chu, Huamin. Chapter 1870. Wow, our little bean is so full of tricks. Yang Meirong couldn't help but laugh. Chin Mumu, please don't use your twisted logic to fool your daddy. After all, he's still naive and hasn't seen your true colors. Is it really okay for you to find excuses for your gluttony? Huamin glanced at his daughter. Mommy found out. I was just teasing Daddy. How can I give up on myself? After all, there's no spring for fat people. Chin-Chu, he realized that he was really getting old. The logic of the two children was too strong. Sometimes, the words they said would make him flabbergasted. Just as everyone was about to finish eating, Pudding came downstairs in a white cotton nightgown. She wore a red Mickey Mouse headband on her long black hair. She looked very cute. Pudding and Little Bean looked exactly the same. They had inherited Chin Chu's excellent genes and were both very good-looking. However, the only thing that could make people distinguish them right away was their personality and aura. Pudding always had a smile on her face. When she smiled, her eyes were like crescent moons. Pudding, on the other hand, was always serious and seemed to have a lot on her mind. "Oh, Sis is coming down," Pudding looked and said. Chin Chu was relieved. It seemed that the kid had thought things through. "Miss Pudding, you came down just in time. Come and eat." Uncle Lee really liked the two kids. "Thank you, Grandpa Lee," Pudding greeted the butler politely. Then, she walked over. "Pudding, come to Grandma. Grandma told you that the lotus root slices tonight are very delicious. You like the crunchy ones the most, right?" "Grandma, I'll eat later," Pudding said and slowly walked towards Huamin. Pudding lowered her voice and whispered into Chin Chu's ear, "I think Sis is going to apologize to Mommy." "Of course. Are you going to continue fighting with your mommy?" Chin Chu lovingly pinched the tip of Pudding's nose. "Mommy," Pudding said softly. "Emichim," Huamin responded faintly. "Mommy. I'm sorry about this morning." Little Pudding was still a child, so when she said the words, "I'm sorry," tears welled up in her eyes. The moment Pudding apologized, Huamin's heart completely softened. After all, she was her biological daughter whom she had carried for 10 months. She loved her more than anyone else. But he couldn't indulge her recklessly just because he loved her. Huamin still had his own principles. "Pudding, do you know what you did wrong? I shouldn't have thrown my phone in such a bad mood. Smashing your phone is just one of them." "What else?" Huamin tilted his head and looked at his daughter with a serious expression. "I shouldn't have treated Handsome Sue and that woman like that. Although I don't like her, I shouldn't have been so rude to her. After all, Handsome Sue brought her home." "You're right. Mommy understands that you and Uncle Sue are close. Uncle Sue has a girlfriend and I understand that you don't like him. But, you shouldn't have been so rude and aggressive towards others. You also brought your bad mood home to our family, Pudding, Daddy, and Mommy. I know I was wrong. From now on, I'll control my emotions and won't throw things. Mommy, please don't be mad at me." Pudding's tears fell uncontrollably as she said this. The truth was, the child felt wronged as well. Huamin didn't feel good either. He immediately picked up Pudding and placed her on his lap. Chapter 1871. Then, she kissed Pudding's cheek. "I hope you don't blame Mommy for being cruel. Mommy has to teach you and Little Bean a lesson. I can't let people say that Chin Chu and Huamin's daughters have no manners." "I know, Mommy. I was too stubborn. It's okay. It's good that you know what you did wrong. Don't feel guilty. Tomorrow will be a new day. Everything that happened today will be in the past." Pudding seemed to understand what her mommy meant and nodded. "The food is a bit cold. I'll ask the kitchen to heat it up." "Mommy, I want to eat your vegetable noodles." Pudding rarely acted like a spoiled child. "Whoa. Sis, you're being stubborn again." Little Bean covered her mouth and laughed. However, Huamin's eyes were gentle. "Okay. Mommy will go to the kitchen now. Wait a moment." Then, Huamin put down Pudding and went straight to the kitchen. "Mian, I'll help you." Her mother was worried about Huamin, so she followed her into the kitchen. Chin Chu looked at Pudding. "You did a great job. Sis, you're good at acting like a spoiled child too." Little Bean teased. "Shut up. I haven't settled the score with you yet." "What score?" "I saved your life today. If I didn't video call Handsome Sue, would he have begged Mommy for mercy? Little Bean said proudly. How dare you? You video chatted with Handsome Sue while I was grounded. Pudding pouted. Watching his daughters bicker, Chin Chu only smiled but didn't say anything. Suddenly, he thought of something. He opened Huamin's bag and took out a box. He put it in front of Pudding. Your mommy bought you a new phone when she came back. Pudding was a little surprised, and then very touched. She picked up the phone box and felt that it was heavy. Mommy is actually very gentle, Pudding said as she bit her lip. Daddy, that's unfair to me. Sis has a new phone. What about me? Yours isn't broken, right? Chin Chu asked. Then can I also find a reason to break it? Little Bean asked on purpose. Sure, but you have to think about your mommy's reaction today and think about what your sister went through, Chin Chu kindly reminded him. Little Bean, forget it then. I think my phone is actually quite new. Ha! Little Bean immediately backed off. Hearing Little Bean's words, Chin Chu and Pudding looked at each other and grinned. 20 minutes later, Huamin came out of the kitchen with a bowl of soup. Mommy. I want some too. Little Bean, you just ate half a bowl of rice, a red bean bun, and a piece of tiramisu, Grandma reminded her. It's not easy for Mommy to cook personally. I don't want to miss it, hee hee. I cooked a lot so you guys can eat, but don't go to sleep immediately after eating. You guys should play downstairs for a while and exercise, Huamin said. Okay, Mommy. We'll take good care of ourselves. Little Bean licked her lips. Huamin was immediately speechless. Take good care of ourselves? Even the word was unfamiliar to her. After apologizing, Pudding felt much better and ate a bowl of vegetable noodles in one go. Then, she went downstairs to play with her sister in the living room. Huamin and Chin Chu went upstairs to their bedroom. After Huamin took off his clothes and walked into the bathroom, Mr. Chin followed right behind him. What are you doing? Doing? Mr. Chin, you're so dirty. Who told you to be so direct? Chin Chu felt wronged. I didn't mean it that way. I mean, I want to take a shower. Why are you following me? I want to take a shower with you. Huamin immediately blushed. After 4 years, the only thing that didn't change about Mr. Chin was that he was still so direct. In the end, Huamin couldn't resist Mr. Chin's gentle advances and the two of them stayed in the bathroom for a long time. When they came out, Huamin was already exhausted. Lying on the bed, she picked up her phone and saw that she had many missed calls. She immediately called back. Sister Huamin, something happened to An Yang. He was just sent to South Side Recuperation Center. Chen Jia was so scared that she couldn't stop crying. Huamin's expression immediately changed and she shot up. When did this happen? What happened? Chapter 1872. I heard from his assistant that he was stalked by an obsessive fan, and that's why. Jia, don't cry. I'll be right there. Okay. Chen Jia and Ni Yang's relationship was stable. Ni Yang even bought a house and was ready to marry Chen Jia. However, Chen Jia didn't want to delay Ni Yang's career, so she didn't officially agree to his proposal. However, as long as Ni Yang didn't have work to do, the two of them would be together. In Ni Yang's own mansion, Chen Jia cooked for him, washed his clothes, and took care of him carefully. Other than Ni Yang's mother and brother, Huamin was the person who treated Ni Yang the best. Therefore, Chen Jia would think of Ni Yang whenever something happened. When Chin Chu walked out of the bathroom, he saw Huamin getting dressed. Honey, are you going out? Yeah, something happened to Ni Yang. I have to go to South Side. I'll go with you. Chin Chu immediately took off his bathrobe and changed. No, it's late, and your leg is injured. I can go by myself. I'll be fine with a bodyguard. Honey, I'm injured, but I'm not crippled. I'll be fine. I'll be worried even if I have a bodyguard. In the end, Huamin couldn't convince Chin Chu. Huamin was a bodyguard in ancient times, but Chin Chu said he was a bodyguard. The two of them drove to South Side in a low-key R8. South Side Recuperation Center, VIP ward. Huamin saw Ni Yang with a white bandage on his cheek. Sister Huamin, President Chen Jia greeted them as soon as she saw them. Sis. Brother-in-law, why are you here? Ni Yang looked up with his hand on his injured left cheek. I was the one who called Huamian, Chen Jia said softly. What happened? You hurt your face. Huamin put down his bag, walked over, and checked the wound. It's okay. It's just a superficial wound. Ni Yang smiled. How can you be so careless? Huamin turned around and looked at Ni Yang's male assistant. What happened? How could something like this happen out of nowhere? President Hua, this time it's probably because of the stalker fans. They were following us in our van and would take pictures of us wherever we went. They even found out which flight we were on and bought first-class tickets to harass us. There was a girl from a rich family who seemed to like Ni Yang a lot. I don't know where she got Ni Yang's phone number from, but she kept harassing him like a psycho. Ni Yang ignored her. This time, she brought a group of girls and found out that we were filming a TV show. Backstage, under the pretense of signing autographs, they swarmed up and scratched Ni Yang's face. It might be an act of revenge. She also said that Ni Yang looked down on her, the assistant recalled slowly. Huamin's face darkened bit by bit. I'm fine, sis, don't worry. The girl was drunk. I don't think she did it on purpose, Ni Yang said calmly. How can that be? It's not about whether she did it on purpose or not, it's about violence. Did you call the police? Yes, the police took them away, but apparently they've already let them go. The girl's family is quite powerful, and we don't want to make a big deal out of it. Ni Yang said that we're giving them a chance to create hype. The assistant lowered his head. How can that be? We can't just let it go. We have to make an example out of them. What if there are more stalker fans who bully people like this in the future? It's okay, sis, let's just let it go this time. I don't want to make a big deal out of it. No, I won't let anyone bully you. Huamin was furious. Ni Yang was a very indifferent boy who would never deliberately fight with others. Chapter 1873. In the past few years, he had a good reputation in the entertainment industry, and he worked very hard. Many of his fans supported and loved him from the bottom of their hearts. However, that didn't mean that Ni Yang didn't have someone to back him up, even though GK was no longer an entertainment company. Ni Yang signed with Su Yu's company, but Huamin's feelings for him were still the same. Honey, can you help me investigate that girl's background? Before Huamin could finish his sentence, the door to his room was pushed open. Everyone looked over and saw that it was Su Yu. It was already 11:20 p.m., and Ni Yang's incident was sudden, so the media didn't know about it. It was obvious that Su Yu was well informed, President Su. Ni Yang was surprised as well. I just heard that you were injured, how are you? Where are you hurt? Is it serious? Su Yu was wearing a white Versace suit, and followed behind him without saying a word. It's not serious, just a few scratches on my left cheek. The doctor said it won't leave a scar, Ni Yang replied. That's good, I've already found the girls who hit you. I've already sued them under the company's name, and our team of lawyers will handle this. You just need to rest and recover. That fast? Hua-min was speechless. He was just about to investigate, and Su-yu was already suing them. Thank you, President Su, I'm sorry for troubling you. Ni-young was quite embarrassed. It was just a small matter, but so many people were alerted in the middle of the night. You're welcome, you're my employee, and I'm supposed to take care of you. Su-yu had always treated his employees well, but the reason why he was especially nice to Ni-young was definitely because of Hua-min. Everyone was well aware of this, and everyone knew what was going on. Since you're involved, then I won't investigate anymore. It's easier for your company to handle this. Compensate, apologize, and detain. Hua-min said faintly. We don't care about compensation, an Imperial Star doesn't lack money. We must destroy that woman's reputation. Su-yu had always been extremely arrogant, and no one could compare to him. Good job. This time, I'm on your side. Hua-min finally let out a breath of relief. What kind of girl liked her idol? She tried to harass him, but in the end, her love turned to hate him. That was terrifying. He definitely couldn't let it go so easily. Otherwise, it might cause even more trouble in the future. Then, Su-yu looked up at Hua-min. Come with me. I have something to say. Hua-min turned around and looked at Chin-chu, as if telling him not to think too much. Chin-chu, on the other hand, was very calm. Go ahead, I'm going downstairs to buy a pack of cigarettes. Then, Chin-chu quickly turned around and went downstairs. Hua-min followed Su-yu out, and Ni-young was in the hospital room, completely dumbfounded. And, how did President Su know I was injured? Someone took a video of the scene and wanted to use it as a publicity stunt. Then, they sold the video to a famous media company. The CEO of that company is very close to President Su, and as soon as he saw you, he immediately called him. President Su immediately suppressed the news. You still have 2 movies coming up next month, so there's no way he'd let any negative news come out. I see. I really have to thank President Su this time. Ni-young nodded. Does it still hurt? Do you want me to put a hot towel on it for you? Chin-jie's heart ached as she walked over and gently touched the gauze. It doesn't hurt. I'm not a woman, I'm not that delicate. Go get some rest, you've been busy all night. Ni-young picked up Chin-jie's hand and kissed it, and then Ni-young's male assistant immediately turned their heads away awkwardly. They were about to torture the two of them. Inside the hospital room, what instructions, Lord Su? Hua-min asked jokingly. Chapter 1874. How dare you laugh? Why can't I laugh? How did you treat Pudding today? Su-yu looked serious. Oh, that's what you're talking about. Hua-min was speechless. Look at you. You're an adult, how can you bully kids? Do you have any conscience? What does that have to do with conscience? I'm educating the kids, Hua-min explained. You can't lock her up. Do you think you're in the army? You're not an instructor. Hua-min, say something. Say what? Hua-min was confused. Where's Pudding? She's at home. She's asleep. Did you apologize to her? Su-yu asked domineeringly. Please. She did something wrong, why should I apologize? She already apologized to me, okay? I also bought her a new phone. This matter was resolved peacefully. Lord Su, what are you so nervous about? Anyway, Hua-min, I'm telling you, you can't treat Pudding and Little Bean like this. They're still kids. They don't know anything yet. Don't use your mother's power, what are you talking about? What do you mean by, use my power? Do you think I'm that unreasonable? Huamin was helpless. Anyway, this is a warning. Next time, what can you do? Huamin raised his chin teasingly. I'll tell Grandpa and ask him to teach you a lesson. You only know how to complain. Are you even a man? Huamin was furious. I don't care. Anyways, I won't let this happen again. Fine, you're acting like you're their father. Please. Even my Chin Chu didn't react as strongly as you, okay? Lord Su, you're teaching the kids the wrong things. They'll turn on you when they grow up. I'm happy to turn on you. I'm rich, I can do whatever I want. Why do you care? I don't want to talk to you. Then, Huamian turned around to leave. Wait. Speak. About me and Jian Tong, are you trying to ask me what my attitude is? Huamin turned his head. Su Yu nodded with an unnatural expression on his face. If I were to treat her as a good friend, then as a family member, I definitely wouldn't agree. It's not that I look down on her because she's an actress. After all, I don't come from a prestigious family, so I'm not as good as her. But, Jian Tong isn't as simple as she seems. I feel like she's a scheming person. She's not as elegant as she appears on the surface. It's best if you don't get too involved with her. Of course, if you truly like her, then that's a different story. After all, I still hope that lovers can find their way together. Lovers can find their way together, haha. What are you saying? Su Yut smiled bitterly. If I were to look at this as an outsider, then you can do whatever you want. After all, you're so old that you can't even have a single woman by your side. Let's not talk about whether or not you can get married, it's good to have someone to keep you company when you're lonely. Jian Tong is your employee, so she admires you a lot. You won't be so tired when you're with her, and I'm sure she'll take good care of you. If she's from a rich family, she might even have princess syndrome and do it with you once every 3 days. I don't want you to be a friend or an outsider. I just want you to be Huamin, then tell me, who is Huamin? Huamin was confused as he glanced at Su Yu. Chapter 1875. As a woman that I, Su Yu, have liked for years, Su Yu said slowly. Of course I'll give you my blessings. After all, I don't want you to be alone. Okay. I understand. Thank you for telling me so much. Then, Su Yu turned around in disappointment. He didn't know if he was sick or something, but he always wanted answers from Huamin. However, every time Huamin said something, he would feel extremely sad. In Wei Liao's words, he was looking for trouble. After Su Yu left, Huamin went back to his room to chat with Anai Yang and Chen Jia while waiting for Chin Chu. Downstairs, Chin Chu came back from buying cigarettes and put one in his mouth. As he walked, he heard faint footsteps behind him. He turned around abruptly and saw an unfamiliar man in a black baseball uniform appear behind him out of nowhere. He was wearing a baseball cap and had a shiny dagger in his hand. He aimed the dagger at Chin Chu. Luckily, Mr. Chin reacted quickly and dodged. The man's movements were swift and clean, and it was obvious that he was a martial artist. When he saw that his first attack didn't work, he immediately tried a second one. He purposely chose this secluded area to attack because he wanted to kill Chin Chu. Chin Chu spat out the cigarette in his mouth and started fighting with the man. The man obviously came prepared and was very strong. Chin Chu didn't dare to be careless and carefully dodged every attack. He knew that if the dagger fell, it would definitely be fatal. During the 4 years he was in the States, he learned a lot of martial arts in order to get retested. However, right now, he was at a higher level, otherwise, he wouldn't have come out with Huamin without a bodyguard. Just as the man pounced on him again, Chin Chu pulled out his gun and pointed it at the man. That person abruptly stopped his movements. Who sent you? Qin Chu asked coldly. The man didn't say anything. Hua Xichen? Qin Chu asked tentatively. After hearing Hua Xichen's name, the man pounced on Qin Chu like a madman, ignoring the gun in his hand. Qin Chu pulled the trigger. Because it was a special silencer, there was no sound. Without attracting the attention of the people around him, Qin Chu shot the man's wrist. The dagger fell to the ground with a clang, making a crisp sound. The man was about to pick it up with his other hand when Qin Chu stepped on his wrist. Ugh! He made a pained sound. Qin Chu slowly squatted down and picked up the dagger. Hua Xichen sent you to kill me. Don't try to trick me. If you want to kill me, then kill me. Humph, someone as important as you wouldn't kill anyone. After all, your life is more valuable than mine. The man sneered. Hua Xichen doesn't know that you're here to kill me, right? Qin Chu slowly asked as he played with the dagger. The man's expression froze. It seemed like Qin Chu was right. But you came to kill me alone to show your loyalty to your master. That's quite brave of you. I won't kill you. The man was slightly stunned. He glanced at Qin Chu, not knowing what Qin Chu was thinking. But I can't let you go so easily. After speaking, Qin Chu raised the dagger and pierced the man's palm. The man was a man, so he didn't make a sound. Blood flowed out of his palm. He was in so much pain that his forehead was covered in sweat. Looking at the dagger piercing the center of his palm, that feeling was worse than death. Chapter 1876. Qin Chu's methods were indeed much more ruthless than 4 years ago. Qin Chu said he wouldn't kill him, so he kept his word. He got up and left. The man stumbled to his feet and hurriedly ran away. The entire process didn't even take more than 10 minutes. It was a quick battle. Honey, let's go back. Qin Chu took a pack of cigarettes upstairs. Okay. Hua Min nodded, then looked at An Yang. Get well soon, and be careful. Okay, after Chinese New Year, I'll ask President Su for a leave of absence. Leave of absence? Are you going on a trip? No, I'm getting married. Haha, that's a good thing. Looks like I'll have to prepare another big red packet. After chatting and laughing, Hua Min and Qin Chu walked out of the room. Honey, why is there blood on your hand? Hua Min used to be a nurse and doctor, so she was especially sensitive to the smell of blood. Ha! Qin Chu didn't notice. He must have gotten some of that man's blood on himself when he was fighting. Look, there's really blood. Did you get hurt? Hua Min panicked. No, maybe when I came back, there was a car accident patient in the ER, and I pushed the cart. I helped out and accidentally got it on my hand, Mr. Qin said perfunctorily. Oh, that's good, you scared me. Honey, are you afraid that I'll get hurt? Of course. Hua Min rolled her eyes at him. I won't. Your husband is very strong now. Not only will I not get hurt, but I also won't let you and the baby get hurt. After hearing this, Hua Min finally felt a little relieved. Inside the Hua mansion, Hua Xichen had been having trouble sleeping lately, and he kept seeing people who were already dead in his dreams. He wasn't sure if it was a bad omen. First, he dreamed of Hua Zhenghai standing in the old house in a white robe. Then, he dreamed of Song Yishir lying in the bathroom with blood all over her face. Even someone as calm as Hua Xichen had moments when he panicked. He didn't dare to turn off the lights when he was sleeping. There was a saying that was very true. Since he had done something wrong, he would definitely be afraid of ghosts. Boss, are you asleep? Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Hua Xichen broke out in cold sweat again. What's the matter? He got up with a cold face and put on his sleeping robe. Boss, something happened to Ollie. Huasiqian frowned slightly after hearing this. Then, he opened the door and walked out. Ollie was his #1 valiant general. He acted quickly and was vicious. It could be said that he was vicious and merciless. He had been by Huasiqian's side for more than 5 years and was a trustworthy person. When Huasiqian walked downstairs, he saw Ollie lying on the living room floor. His face was haggard, and there was a dagger in his right hand. The dagger had pierced right through his palm. Just looking at it made one's heart tremble. What happened? How did he get hurt like this? Huasiqian gritted his teeth in anger. Boss, The person beside him didn't dare to speak. At this time, Ollie was already unconscious, so no one knew where to start asking. Speak. Huasiqian tilted his head and yelled at one of his subordinates. Boss, here's what happened. Brotherly noticed that you've been in a bad mood recently. He knew that you've been feeling uneasy because of Qin Chu's return to the country. He said a few times that he wanted to do something, but you've been hesitant, so, at this point, the person paused for a moment. Go on. Huasiqian's voice was as cold as ice. So, Brotherly wanted to kill Qin Chu behind your back. Recently, he's been looking for an opportunity to follow him. Finally, he saw him go out alone at Southside tonight. He thought it was a good opportunity, so he went after him, but he didn't expect that. Not only did he fail, but he also got stabbed in the hand by Qin Chu. Ridiculous, you idiots, you're pissing me off. Huasiqian was so angry that he kicked over a coffee table in front of him, shattering all the glassware on the floor. His subordinates were so scared that they didn't even dare to breathe. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.